Do you play PUBG Mobile? Maybe you never run out of stamina. Maybe you're always aware of your surroundings. Maybe you're an amazing cook with the pen. Maybe you're a great driver. But as soon as you hear the sound of an airplane, you get into the zone. In PUBG Mobile, you all come from different walks in life. But you face the same dangers on the battleground. And you become friends. You work together to overcome the obstacles. This is PUBG Mobile. There's a number one in all of us. Welcome to the PUBG Mobile first anniversary party. PUBG Mobile, be the one.
Good evening and welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Club Open Semifinals for North America. We are in the final week of these semifinals, and well, teams don't have a lot of time to try to rack up those points to find themselves in the top 16 placements. Bottom 8 of these 24, they're getting kicked out, but we have a lot to cover, so Trid, let's get right into it.
Group A and C are going to be kicking it off today in the second day of our final week. This is Group A's last opportunity to get points on the board to decide whether they will be making it to our regional finals. Group C will get another shot tomorrow along with Group B. But you can already see from yesterday, Cream Esports really popped off in comparison to what we've seen from them before, but as expected, Top Dogs, Nova and Spacestation back at the top again.
Exactly. Let's take a look at how today, though, is going to be focused. Vikendi, Sanhok for match number 2, Erangel to end out the day. So the major shift, at least from this schedule as compared to yesterday, is that we are not going to the deserts of Miramar, but we will see it again tomorrow to be played out.
Yeah, every team is going to play that Miramar map twice during the semi-final stage, and it's BNC that needs to top up with an extra game compared to what happened last week, where it was A who got the double helping.
Oh, yeah.
But we're moving on to Sanhok Sanhok second, Vikendi first, as we always like to kick things off on that snowy map. Let's have a look at our standings as we kick off the day, see how everything looks. Now, this is the danger zone. If you're in Group A, the teams that have 12 matches played so far, oh, Group C have them as well, to be fair. You're in this section right now. By the end of tomorrow's broadcast, you're gone. You're done. And Team A, Group A only have one more shot at this. So as we climb up the rankings, you need to be getting into this area. If you're outside of the top 16 by the end of today and you're in Group A, you're out. There's nothing you can do. You can't get any more points. Today is all about getting as far up the leaderboards and far away from the 16th spot as you can.
Yep, and it certainly is going to feel good if you find yourself ending up in these top 8 positions, but make no mistake, some teams have made some huge strides. Trid, you mentioned it just a few seconds ago. Cream Esports propelling themselves from the bottom page of the leaderboards, those bottom 8 positions, all the way up into a comfortable 4th place. And, that's exactly where you want to be as Cream Esports. They're certainly going to be happy with their performance yesterday. But again, they're a team that hasn't necessarily shown us consistency. So can they come in with the repeats? Can they continue on those strides and keep that ball of momentum rolling on?
Yeah, it's very unlikely that we are used to seeing Cream Esports NA, especially in the higher ground. One thing to know about them, though, their points are mainly being dictated by their positional finishes. They're not one of the frag-heavy teams reflective of their position, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We already talk about how the points, it's 30 points for that first place finish, it's a kill for each, well, a point for each kill. So really, your focus should be on surviving. You can get kills along the way. Sometimes they go hand in hand, sometimes they don't. But if you have to choose one or the other, always go for the placement. That's what Cream Esports has been doing. It's been working out really well for them so far.
And that's sort of been one of the teams that our frag-heavy teams have been, or one of the things, rather, that our frag-heavy teams have had to take into consideration, because some of these firefights have been getting some of our top teams from previous type of competitions. Especially yesterday. Misfits going out so early, Tempo Storm going out so early. And it's just a shame to see, but it's a shift in their strategy, and these teams have to adapt. You always have to be playing with the meta, and certainly the meta can change when you have a leaderboard system that works its way out like this. Placements are where you are getting the bulk of those points, and some teams have benefited hugely off of that format.
Absolutely, they have done that as well. And just going back to the point we slightly raised yesterday, teams are starting to get experimental. We think we've figured this one out, mainly because when we move into our top 16, the seeding doesn't really matter because it's not going to dictate groups anymore. As long as you're in the top 16, and some of these teams comfortably are, you can try and experiment and look to the future. Yeah. But in our immediate future, by the way, we're jumping onto Vikendi. We're over the sky already. Let's kick off today's action as we jump into map number 1.
It is getting cold in here as we take our plane path from east to west. A very fair plane path, essentially dissecting Vikendi in half. Again, the 6x6 kilometer newest addition to the PUBG Mobile lineup. and these players are going to have to at least be fairly confident in their ability to get all across the map. No far stretches for any of these squads, but traditional, at least to this Vikendi map in this tournament. We're not really seeing the eastern coast, that frozen river that essentially splits 2/3 of the map off to the west. Not a lot of teams favor the eastern side of it, and that's because there aren't a lot of high priority loot locations there. And by virtue of that, well, some teams just have a nice little looting phase uncontested. You're already seeing Ignite Gold over near Peshkova. Spacestation Gaming, of course, no surprises as they gravitate down towards that southeastern corner of the map. No matter what map, they're going to be heading there. But phase 1 is popped, and it's going to be at least an interesting one. A lot of water inside of this circle as we shift down to the southwest, centered off just slightly of Dino Park.
Yeah, a lot of teams going to be shifted on there to that southwest corner, and as has been said already, slow maps on Vikendi. Sam, what are you doing over there, bud? Go and regroup with the rest of your team. You're a little bit far out and going up against the likes of BlindedByWin.
That they are. BlindedByWin coming in here. They didn't play yesterday, so they at least had a day off of this tournament, an extra day off. And they're going to hopefully have the benefit of watching some of those VOD reviews and seeing where the different teams will be landing.
That's a late drop from Shoot to Win. How'd they ended up here?
You know what? Parachuting is an interesting thing, and that's for sure. Shoot to Win will be landing in this compound where Tempo Storm has taken up. And, well, Tempo Storm is a team that is used to these early game engagements, even though they don't necessarily come up on top of them and sometimes lose a lot in the process.
Yeah, you definitely want to be careful going up against Tempo Storm. Spec has been someone who's been dominating the kill feed in previous weeks. He's the furthest away from where the action will be for now. As you can see, it's Kraken and Nico just holding that line, making sure that Ulysses and Rafa don't venture too far into their newly formed bit of territory. Looting will continue for Tempo Storm as they look to build up supplies before taking an engagement, but they are very much going to be aware that Shoot to Win are here. You can't really ignore 4 players parachuting on top of your spot that late into the game.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried if the members of Tempo Storm would actually be able to spot them out. That was an extremely late parachute, but sure enough, Tempo is reacting accordingly, as if there is another squad in their vicinity. Ulysses still looting up in the building right outside of where Kraken, Lost, and Nico have positioned, with Spec playing a little bit of Overwatch position off to the far south. And he's a little bit separated. A lot of buildings kind of block the lines of sight of any type of support that he could lend to his fellow teammates as they continue on through this Creatus area, a big city, at least big enough for 2 teams to comfortably loot, but Lopez has already secured one of the vehicles, his other teammates picking up the other Dacia, and that's a significant takeaway as we look at this area.
Yeah, they've just, they have those cars yoinked from underneath them. Shoot to Win wouldn't get the most amount of loot from that area. They got a sizable amount just to begin with, but taking those vehicles away, really going to hinder, especially when you take into account where Shoot to Win and Nova are on the map. They're in the far northwest corner. They got a long rotation to make to get into that circle, and now one of the better options for them has been removed. Another team that's far away, though, they're probably the furthest team away right now, is Pittsburgh Knights. They're in the Cosmodrome area right now. A lot of loot here for them to go and pick up, because there's a lot of space, and naturally it just comes with the loot territory.
Keep in mind with these Vikendi matches as well, the first 3 phases are a little bit interesting and unique to this map in particular. And they need to be at least cognizant of the fact that the centralized areas of this first phase will be very crowded come a few minutes later into this match. We already did see, I believe that was Shoot to Win, making the early rotation, and you'd like to see that out of these squads. Those centralized positions are not just prime real estate, but will be contested real estate very quickly here in this game.
A nice little picture-on-picture going on for you as well. Spacestation Gaming up in the top right corner. As we look towards Angry and the rest of Space Station, trying to just get themselves some loot up here. They're in the Hot Springs area down to the southeast, so very close to the current play area that's been formed. The circle probably going to start moving in the next 1 minute 30, but for now, just going to be looking to get that loot. And Phil, we're expecting very quiet Vikendi games until about phase 3 or 4, but the thing about this one and the way the circle currently is, because about a third of the circle's being taken up by water, it may actually fast a more aggressive Vikendi than what we're usually used to and what these teams are used to.
Exactly. Water can sort of be a catalyst in terms of action in these games, so keep your eyes on that. Whether or not Phase 2 will continue to nudge its way and include that water, that will kind of force it to be more impactful, but it certainly already is about 60-40 in terms of a water-land ratio, with HQA over here looting up to their heart's content near their winery area, and they will find themselves inside of phase number 1. But Version 2 White is another team that has made that early rotation. They quickly looted where they landed, but they didn't waste any time. They got in their vehicles as soon as they saw that phase 1 pop, and they sent it center circle. No other teams contesting that area, but that's soon to change as AreYouScared making their way down south as well.
All the teams starting to, well, a lot of teams starting to make that rotation through. Some teams already in there. For Hokage and Esports NA are pretty much on the border right now. Just need to hop, skip, and jump their way into it. But if we're looking at the teams moving in, a lot of them are going to be coming in from the northeast area. They can funnel through that direction. First bullet's being traded, and the first knock going down to Rafa. That's Revenants taking a fight with Shoot to Win to the north near Dobro Mosto area, and maybe might be able to find themselves a knock, but they'll settle for that for now.
Shoot to Win is kind of separated off too. We'll have to keep an eye on how their progress tracks. Revenant's tank are going to be looting up in the water
as well.
Yeah, exactly. First kill of the game going over to the hands of Revenants, picking up their first kill point. But keep in mind, kill points only net you 1, where you can get 30 times that, Trid, for picking up a first place finish. 30 points awarded to the winning team every map. Wildcard, though, lighting up the kill feed as well. BlindedByWin have found themselves amongst a little bit of conflict here on the map. They need to be careful. They have to make that rotation, and they're being stopped in their tracks entirely by the members of Wildcard. Zeus going to finish off that down as well, picking up their second kill here in the early game.
He's going to carry on that path, get some loot for himself. You can see Lations Unidos in the distance, not too far away from the boys from Wildcard Gaming. Going to disable that vehicle. They got plenty of their own. And carry on as more par for the course. That circle is starting to encroach towards that newly formed player in the southwest, so teams will have their hands forced when it comes to mobility very shortly. They're okay to tank some of that blue, though. Is the phase 1 circle not going to be too damaging for them? This bad player is going to take a fight with Cream Esports NA, and Cheto is going to feel the burn as well. He's being knocked down by a vehicle explosion in the center of the circle. This is happening just north of Milner right now.
And keep in mind, Cream Esports are pretty much victors of day number 1 of week 2 semifinals. Having a tough time here in the early game, but we also saw them have a few tough engagements yesterday, as Ignite Gold's Vi going to be crossing the bridge, trailing in that SSG caravan, just trying to use them as cover. But we have seen a lot of mobile kills come out here in this tournament so far, so he needs to be aware of the fact that he's in the vehicle
by himself, though. He's not going to be able to get that mobile kill because he's got no one in there as a wingman to try and shoot for him.
No, Spacestation Gaming shooting back.
Yeah, they got themselves the convoy behind them. Sixless, they've got to be aware there's a vehicle following them, right? Surely it's in their interest to turn around. They've got plenty of time here to take this fight if they need to. Or now that they're in the area, Fire's just going to take a detour, go away. There we go. Spacestation Gaming a turn around onto them. Sixless going in for the hot pursuit. The rest of them are jumped out of the vehicles now they're in the area. And they're setting up a line to take this fight should Ignite Gold press onto it. But they're doing the rest of this journey on foot.
I mean, listen, Spacestation Gaming, they don't want to be clearing the way, making it any easier for Ignite Gold on that rotation. You saw a quick hot swap in the seat of one of the members of Spacestation Gaming, quickly spray down out of the window. And Sixless tried to chase down, but he made the right move, you know, not committing to it fully, keeping his emotions intact, fully aware of the task at hand, and that's getting into the first place here of the day, because Spacestation Gaming, Trid, they're trying to rocket themselves up into the atmosphere. They're trying to do it as best as possible because we see them first place currently on the leaderboards.
They just want to maintain that. They definitely don't want to have Misfits or Nova, who are the separated only by 3 points in the group stage, come into this. Was spotted out member for Hokage. Just going to keep spraying towards that. They're trying to be an emergency paramedic right now to get him back up, but Toby Rama's now been knocked in doing that. Tsukasa, surely he's going to go down here. No one can get the res in time, so that's going to be him being flushed out here. Toby Rama will get to safety. The smokes have guaranteed him a path to that point. Version 2 White still have eyes on the remainder for Hokage.
Unfortunate to see this. These are our 2 worst performing teams currently in the lobby, both in danger of finding themselves in those bottom 8 positions at the end of today. You got to see big strides for these squads. And well, both of them are at least expending resources and taking casualties, as for Hokage continue to try to at least stay alive in this engagement. But they got to be careful. Spacestation Gaming rolling off the edge, and HQA is engaged on SSG, finding at least a few casualties there, but Sixless responds. G36C onto Michael. A lot of teams are getting into fights right now, Trid.
Yeah, they're all being focused around that southeast area of the new play zone. You see Michael already on his knees. They're going for the resurrection to try and bring Zephan back into the fight. You got Yefei pressing forward to hold the most forward position and get the res onto Michael, bring him back into the game. Same thing's being done over there by Spacestation Gaming. Juicy will bring Carnage back into the fight. You got some members of 4 Hokage in the distance. They're hearing the shots. They may want to third party this and rack up those extra kill points. Nice little tasty bonus to walk away with map number 1 with.
It's interesting to see these types of engagements actually coming to fruition with some knocks, because generally these are going to be poke shots sent back and forth between the compounds to keep their enemies at bay, as well as alert them to not push in to that compound or else risk impending death. But these connections are happening, but because of the safety of the compounds, they are able to recover off of this and keep all 4 members alive for both of these teams. Yefei, though, continues to bleed out as Michael tries to recover off of this inside of the building. Yeah, he's going to be able to safely get this res. This is exactly what we're talking about. Just nice connections between these 2 squads as they try to at least take the peeks through the windows. And, well, it's going to be at least wearing down their attrition throughout these games. The bleed outs will they're going to increase pretty much exponentially the more and more that these players find themselves knocked, and you got to be aware of that.
I want this next circle that's on the brink of being popped to move further southwest and accelerate this game. If it keeps using water as an occupied territory, then we're going to get an accelerated Vikendi, which is always nice to see, and it will change up the pace and provide an interesting alternative to what we usually see. Sixer still keeping an eye on HQA as he needs to. Their hands may be forced by this next circle rotation. They are fairly central, so not going to have to be moving too far off of this one, even if a hard shift was to take place.
Yeah, Trud, we've been working together for the better part of a month now, and I know you well enough to at least be fairly confident in renaming hard shifts to the Trid Circle. But you're not going to get it this time. Still going to have some water in play, and that's significant. I mean, it is phase number 2.
30%, 40%.
Yeah, exactly, and that's at least something that these teams have to be aware of. It's not a small amount whatsoever. The land ratio that these players have to work off of could come into effect as you see lots of teams starting to at least congregate towards that coastal area even further. But Pittsburgh Knights are going to be taking casualties. Wildcard continues to put the hurt down on every team that they pass through in this lobby. And it's going to be difficult for Pittsburgh Knights to actually disengage. A few smokes coming out as Wi-Fi picks up Jagger, and they try to at least pull back. But Monarch has been spotted out. The M416 shots from Illusions, finding their connections, dropping him down to about 40% HP.
Not getting the knock, though, so it will apply a lot of pressure to Pittsburgh Knights. Wildcard Gaming still holding the high ground. They've got to remember, they're playing with 3 men right now. Zeus was taken out earlier, flushed out as well, as Ranger will lay down some more suppressing fire. There's not a lot of cover for these guys to work with. They're hiding around trees right now. Pittsburgh Knights, they're mounting up and getting ready to move.
And that's exactly what they need to do. There's no reason to stay amongst this conflict when they would likely have to reposition in phases 3, 4, and 5. But Wildcard continues to be diligent in putting out the pressure and letting every other squad know that they are here to play. Because they weren't here yesterday. They were not in the lobbies, and now is their opportunity to try to rack up those points that they saw the other top teams doing in our previous day of play. Pittsburgh Knights, though, pulling into the building entirely. Not going to be sending it away from this compound just yet, but they've got the safety of the walls.
That'll be all that they need for now. 20 seconds, then that circle's going to come in. Lations Unidos, Angel has the angle right now. Manny going to get himself dropped down in the smoke. Mateus going in for the flank. Spots out Woods, and there's another knock as well. Going to flush out BlindedByWin. That's our first squad to drop out the entire map.
You hate to see it. BlindedByWin, they took some casualties early on in this game, and while the other 2 members were sought out and wiped out, as Lations Unidos picks up their first 2 kills of the game and continue on with all 4 members alive. A 2 for 0, losing nothing in the process, maybe a few rounds of ammo that they are quickly restocking on from those loot crates.
And Lations Unidos was this team who came into our semifinals in 24th place. They grabbed out that last spot we had. And so we weren't expecting miracles from the roster when it came through to qualifying for regional finals, but they've got enough time in these last 2 game days to be able to come in here and potentially get enough points to get themselves into the top 16 and turn around what has been a mediocre campaign, shall we say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been good to see some of these teams adjusting, trying to do whatever they can to rack up those points because, hey, I mean, let's face it, sometimes the strategies that you enter into these tournaments with aren't going to work out. And it's a true test of a strong team to see the adaptations that you're able to make on the fly when seconds can mean the difference between getting that first place chicken dinner and finding yourselves exiting out of the game early on. Revenants, though, continuing. 1 kill to the name. We saw them pick that up a few minutes ago over on that far western coast, but they have repositioned Vigilante and the rest of the squad in a bit of a triangular formation with version 2 wide as well as Tempo of a Storm. And you might see at least a few shots coming out of these 3 compounds as these teams get closer and closer together.
Just to the south of Dino Park, and a lot of teams further to that southeast of them. Vigilante thinks he's spotted out Kraken, and that he has. Going to nail himself a couple of shots, and Kraken's smart enough to know he has to take cover. He has not got the position to be able to fight this one for now, especially when he wants to med up.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if you see Kraken peek in that 2nd story window. Once again, certainly in the lines of sight of Revenants as we continue to see the blue zone work its way toward the edges of phase number 2. We're starting to get into the beef of the Vikendi games. Only one more phase with that nudge shift that we've talked about pretty thoroughly throughout the last few weeks of Vikendi gameplay. And it's something that these teams have had to be extremely aware of. They can't play it like they do on Miramar or Erangel or even Sanhok. It's very true and very unique to this frozen map in particular. Shoot to win, moving off of that far western coast. Cream trying to find a better reposition because they have already lost members so far in this game as well. But other than that, it's just Lations Unidos coming off of that northern flank where they're going to find a wide open area to take shelter in near the Dino Park area.
You love to see it if you're Lations Unidos or a Lations Unidos fan. A lot of space to work with and bump themselves up the placement. So far, we've only lost one squad, so even going out now, only net you 1 point. That's not the outcome you want from this game. So you want to stay in a little bit longer, rack up the kills, rack up the points, and having an open space like this to occupy without any immediate conflict is going to be beneficial. It doesn't mean you can let off the gas, though. It seems like that's maybe what Toby Rama did, is he's just been knocked down by Spacestation Gaming. They're very close to each other, as well as a lot of other squads, so hopefully they can end that one quickly before they have to deal with multiple teams entering into the fray.
Shoot to Win finds themselves on the western edge of phase number 3, which is going to be, again, a little bit of a nudge. Water still in play, though. That's about a about 25-75 split, so still pretty significant in the grand scope of things as Space Station Gaming looks on. They're almost dead center, but they do have HQA, as you see on your map, down to the south. AreYouScared up to the north, and for Hokage off to the west, but I'm also going to be keeping my eyes on Nova. They've been creeping in here. They've had a far rotation from the northern side of things and find themselves on the coast just east of Milner, but Revenants continue to look on. They spotted out Tempo just a few minutes ago, took the shots, but have diverted their attention over to the other team in this vicinity, version 2 White.
Keeping them locked down in the compound. Revenants have got some property to fall back to directly on the 6 of Vigilante, but he's just playing around the natural terrain so far, using that as cover to take a few shots. You see Tempo and, of course, version 2 White in the immediate vicinity with them. And this is the team that's still over to that northwest circle. Cream Esports, sorry, they're not over to the northeast. Yes, they are actually, northwest. Sorry. Karma or Cream Esports are lingering around, and they could go on to this one, but already not coming down on to member of version 2 White, Vigilante. Going to rotate back around and make sure that Tempo aren't encroaching in on this.
And that's a good knock. I mean, Vigilante will not be able to secure the flush right there.
Never.
But he can be extremely happy in the fact that he is starting to whittle down both 2 different teams, Tempo Storm as well as version 2 White. And we've highlighted it already. Version 2 White is a team that needs significant performance gains here in this day of gameplay because they're sitting in that bottom 8 zone, the danger zone, especially where they don't want to be after tomorrow's final day of the semifinal gameplay. But again, continue to look. Revenants do have the high ground. Unfortunate for version 2 White that they have the low ground, but it's not going to be a significant factor just yet until these teams have to make movements, Trid.
And as we know with Vikendi, we won't be seeing that for at least the next phase. Maybe we might see some.
We're almost there.
A lot of these teams are in a lateral line across the coastline, really. Not for any clusters in the northeast, or particularly in the south. That's mainly dictated by the fact there's water. So the next circle will force some kind of movement. They can't all be out of this in this next circle just by the sheer spread we have of these teams so far. It's only a couple of seconds off from popping, and there you have it on your screens right there, that line. So it is the best possible outcome for a lot of these teams. It's only Team Anarchy and Ignite Gold that really have to move on this one, but it almost certainly guarantees that phase number 5 will bring the heat.
Absolutely, centering up on Space Station Gaming, they're not going to be moving whatsoever because they felt the presence move in around them. Again, for Hokage out to the west, AreYouScared up to the north, and 2 squads, HQA and Nova, down to the south. But Pittsburgh Knights are already going to be quickly shifting in. They're wasting no time at all to get a more centralized and favorable compound for them position-wise. Albeit most of the, I guess, priority compounds, if you would call it that, here on Vikendi in this phase in particular have already been taken up. So they will be taking the scraps, but it's more than some of our teams can say up to the northwest, who will be fighting across open areas should that shift come out here in phase number 4.
We get an airdrop coming in on someone. Shoot to Win have been gifted one quite recently, but here's Chaos and the rest of Ignite Gold. Moving into that circle. Now, the path they're on right now, they've got Wildcards up to their north. They're going to have Team Anarchy down to the south as well. And they're just threading a nice, almost a bisection of that angle quite nicely, going straight through the middle of them. It's Chaos leading the charge in that vehicle. He's got Ore with him as well. And they're heading further towards Pittsburgh Knights here. And if they keep on the path, that is a good decision here. They think they found an empty compound. Jump in here, bunker down, wait for the next circle, because who knows, it might shift back towards you.
Scouting on Vikendi, at least in these late game phases, mid game phases, is extremely dangerous. We saw teams punished for that yesterday because, again, the scouting is essentially done for you on Vikendi. You have to assume that every compound in the center of phase number 4 is going to be occupied. And if it's not occupied, well, you're likely driving through at least some crossfire where teams are close enough to you to put out that fatal damage, as you're already starting to see Space Station Gaming. We've been looking at them. They've been center circle for a while, but HQA has certainly had their eyes on them from the south.
They've been in this standoff with HQA for the longest amount of time here, Esquire, and they're taking casualties, they're taking knocks, but everyone keeps getting back on their feet because of the nature of the engagement. They're both surrounded by properties for them to hide into. Sure, someone gets knocked, but then they're already in cover. It's really easy to get recovery on that one, rather than taking the fight in exposed territory. I can't wait for one of these teams, not both, to be outside of a next phase zone, so then we can see the action rotation be forced, because as we know, rotations are the most vulnerable time for these teams.
And one thing I'm kind of curious on as well, Spacestation Gaming, yes, we saw them knocked by HQA. They returned fire onto HQA and found some knocks for their own. But both of these teams landed there early on, and how much loot is in those buildings? Will they be able to replace those helmets, those vests that got shredded in these sort of mid to long range engagements as their next phase pops? It will be a shift.
Like it.
Yeah, a little bit of a shift off to the east of our central point from our previous phase. The teams over to the west are going to have a hell of a time trying to make their way in safely. And we're going to have to keep our eyes on that Cream Esports, Revenants, Tempo Storm version 2 White, as well as for Hokage.
I want to keep my eyes on AreYouScared. I feel like they're going to be the ones who are going to get the most of the brunt of this in this rotation into the circle. Look at the amount of teams that are going to be heading in from that northwestern side. The closest compound is the one AreYouScared are occupying. Now, if a team wants real estate and values that in their circle rotations, then they're going to crash onto someone. Vigilante actually rushing onto Cream Esports. Not certain if that was the play chief, as Vigilante's been dropped, as has Karma. Kira's the last man standing. This is looking a good situation for a flush. Just going to sit there, actually. Returns fire on the outside. The spray comes down from Espinoza. They're all spinning in circles. That's going to be a knock and the flush coming in. I believe Cream Esports going out in 15th place.
So interesting decision, like you pointed out, Trent. I wonder if they were going back to the vehicle.
Oh no, Vigilante, please heal up.
Oh, yeah, he's able to get the first aid off. I mean, Blue Zone is not doing an insignificant amount of damage during phase number 5. But again, I'm wondering if Revenants maybe saw the UAZ parked into the compound and just maybe thought by magic it ended up being there. They didn't see Cream Esports, but they made quick work of that squad, wiping them out in 15th position and then continuing on, though. But they are low HP, and in these transitions, that's going to be a one-tap dirt nap should any team find that bullet connection, as Espinoza is starting to feel the pressure being applied from all of these teams.
And he's the driver as well. If he goes down here, the vehicle's going to be stuck in a sitting position. They're going to have to make fast changes in the seats like a game of musical chairs in order to get that vehicle moving again, but they drop out early. Go for the heels instead. You can see Lopez in the distance going across the way. As Ulysses will get a knock onto Perot. So that Revenant squad are feeling the hurt from that late rotation.
Blue Zone moving in. We are past the 20-minute mark of this game, and Lopez from Shoot to Win will be knocked out. Espinoza, Revenants continue to be at least a powerful force here, but not without taking casualties of their own. Peralta will be knocked, has a squad of 3 EMTs pulling up to him to provide the safety. The smoke's coming out as well for the concealment, but Shoot to Win is going to be looking this direction. They want to try to get some revenge for their fallen comrade, where they have no chance in hell of getting over there to help him out. It's going to be just a matter of seconds before he gets taken out. But Psycho will be finding some connections, and Revenants are taking casualties. The Blue Zone is starting to be a bit of a thorn in their side.
Yeah, especially because it's still collapsing in now, and they're going to have to sprint against it in a way. Espinoza goes down, has to throw the smoke out early, going down to a couple of shots from the distance. It's Jay from AreYouScared going to pick up the knock and the flush, leaving Vigilante as the solo player for Revenants.
Jay, one of the top fraggers in this lobby for the first week, or rather second week of gameplay here in the semifinals. Well done from AreYouScared, being, just aware of the surroundings. Trid, you mentioned this is a compound where this team has position that is likely going to see a lot of movement, and they sure enough did. They kept their eyes up to the northwest and capitalized on that beautifully. And they still have to worry about Shoot to Win, though, coming off of that northern flank. For Hokage, though, on the western side of this circle, they're in a little bit more of a dire situation, as Hashirama has been connected on with a Molotov. He is going to be burning.
He's stopping, he's dropping, but he's not rolling, Esquire, so he's just going to keep burning up a little bit longer, pop the energy drink as well, get the stims going, so he can look to return fire onto version 2 White should they aggress further. Chaos taking a knock from a nice headshot coming out from Rain, got himself that M24 rifle and starting to get himself on the board with it.
Tempo starting to at least move in as well. Lost might be a solo player in this vehicle, and he's going to be crossing through many different teams. All of these teams, though,
I think he's pretty lost right now. How do they not spot him or even trying to act on such a brazen move?
I think they did spot him, but they couldn't do anything. All of these teams up here to the western side of this circle, they're taking casualties. Clone is Lations Unidos going to be rolling in here, trying to get some fire out onto version 2 White. Not able to do so because version 2 White is engaged on another squad entirely, but the nades are coming out, trying to prep that AoE damage. And this could be landed beautifully. At least it's starting to line up with its trajectory. But does it have the distance? That's what we're going to be essentially waiting to see. No, it doesn't. Well, actually, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
What are you talking about? He got a knock and a flush there on the 2 members of version 2 White. That's incredible. There's going to be 7 getting a knock onto Illusions in the distance. That's that fight between Wildcard and Pittsburgh Knights popping off right now. Clonus gets the knock onto Bad Player, takes a bit of a shot from Maluma to then punish him afterwards. Both of these squads still in the game here. They need to get the res onto Clonus right now. Team Anarchy, they're popping into the fight as well in vehicles. They're going for the rock. Nearly crashed straight into Shoot to Win, who are trying to rotate across the battlefield. And they're putting themselves right on top of another team right now.
It's so funny. All of these teams are trying to utilize each other to try to make these rotations. Some of them are having more success than others, but Psycho going to be spotting out for Hokage under the RV, the ice cream truck, and that is going to be a world of hurt being applied to them from other angles as well. Revo comes in. Lations Unidos is fragging out here in phase number 6, and there's no stopping them just yet.
It seems their strategy for rotations is sleight of hand, except if your other hand was trying to kill you. That's basically what they're doing. They're relying on the distractions across the map of people who would basically strangle you if they had a chance, and hoping they could just sneak in through the back line. Mighty will get the knock onto Illusions. Jagger's going to feel the hurt from HQA as well. We're on board with Beowulf and Nova, who are in a fairly central position right now, so they have to have their heads on swivels.
It's interesting. Nova's about 10 meters away from where Spacestation Gaming has been
They have the
positioned.
low ground.
The entirety of this game, they certainly do have the low ground. They're throwing up smokes, throwing up frag grenades as well, but being careful to watch their back flanks, knowing full well that the Pittsburgh Knights will be trying to move in off of that eastern position. A wide open field is what the Knights have to work through, and they're starting to get ripped up by the shots coming out from Kato, Beowulf, and the rest of the squad, but other teams have to make these wide rotations. What was once safe is no longer Trid, and will for Hokage, Lations Unidos, Team Anarchy, and AreYouScared have to continue to try to exit out of that northwestern corner of our previous zone.
Steady aim from Michael there, picks up a knock and a flush and gets his comrade Zephan back into the game as Yifei looking out towards Sam right now. He's trying to get some heals. They know roughly where the team are, but they can't get the angle to get the shots on. Mighty dropping Rain down to his knees again. This is AreYouScared just dominating Wildcard right now, and Rain actually going to get himself flushed out of the fight as well as Wi-Fi's going to be knocked to his knees by Sam. And this is a problem for Pittsburgh Knights. They're out of the next play zone. They need to get themselves in, but they have to aggress past the direction, which is being looked upon and guarded by Nova Esports.
It begs the question, what kind of utility do the Knights have to work off of? You're not seeing a lot of smoke concealment being deployed off of that eastern position to allow them a window of opportunity to push up just a few meters to try to get to safety. But AreYouScared? They're trying to make that trek. They're widely split off in essentially a 2-1-1. Not really a strategic formation based off of where they're currently positioned on the northern side of things, but Jay continues to put out the pressure, spotting out the members of Team Anarchy over near this rocky hillside, not finding the connections, but the shots ringing right over their heads will be making them a little bit fearful of what lies to the north.
Grenades coming in, but Jay's still fine for now. Has the cover of that rock to deny the frag damage. You can see the rest of Wi-Fi. They're going to be forced in now. The circle is going to start making that next transition and forcing some hands. 6 is going to knock onto Kuang, and the flush is going to come in from Fi, taking the kill steal away to keep the pressure going on. Molly over the top as Kodo will get a knock onto Wi-Fi. Yifei exposed right now, running through the smoke. Will get down. They just need to find Michael. They're going to put them all. It's Zephan. He's the last member standing for HQA and needs to go for the reses. Yifei is still up, but they're spraying into the smoke to try and get him. See if they can finish this one off. Micro TT and Team Anarchy need to start running for the hills. Killer gets knocked first. Micro still up in the game. Needs to try and return fire and deflect this attack from Ignite Gold, but Killer cannot get into cover fast enough and will find himself being flushed out of the game by Chaos.
Ignite Gold is going full beast mode on all of these teams trying to roll in from the outskirts. They were able to find not one, not two, but 3 different knocks on 3 different squads, and now they're going to be aggressing. Fi through the window, tries to spot out Unnamed for the bathroom. Will be landing it, and out goes for Hokage in 6th position. 5 teams remaining, though, as we enter into our final few circles of this game. Nova continues to look on. Pittsburgh Knights have been eliminated, and will they have to be at least aware of the fact that Spacestation Gaming still looms over the hillside, and AreYouScared is going to continue on these rotations from the north. They've drawn the attention of Nova. A huge nade coming in from Mighty of AreYouScared. Lands on not 1 but 2. Sam and Kato will be knocked down.
Need to get the reses in there. Bear in mind, everyone in this last circle is a complete squad apart from Zephan from HQA. He has got to be bricking it right now, Esquire. He has no idea what's going to be going on because there's 16 players out there, and they may at some point have their crosshairs trained. He's hoping to play for position right now, hoping that these squads get into skirmishes that he can then capitalize off of. Grenades are still coming in onto Nova right now. Kodo needs to be res, but Juicy takes a knock. It's Jay from the outside coming in on Spacestation Gaming.
Yeah, Zephan's got that monkey paw over there to the northern side of things, wishing that another team will get knocked out, and a finger closes into the palm of that monkey paw.
But at what cost? There's always a cost with the monkey's paw.
There's always a cost, as we have learned over these few weeks of gameplay commentated by myself and Trid. It's been a wonderful time here for the PUBG Mobile Club Open. But only one team can reign victorious here on day number 2 of the second week of semifinals, and Spacestation Gaming is trying to do just that. Nova
what are you doing? He's going to run straight into 6 list. It's an absolute firing squad. 2-on-1. It's an easy pickup. Here comes another one. Stop going in 1 by 1, you madmen. The The Micro Uzi's going to spray him down, but the counter comes in. There's the knock on the Sixless as the fourth member comes up here and gets the knock on to Angry. They just brute force it, a 2-2 split going absolutely disastrous for Spacestation Gaming as Marvis can now hold down his position and get the reses in.
You know, a questionable push coming out from Ignite Gold, but you have to applaud the effort. They are playing so aggressively. That's going to be Marvis trying to res his two teammates on the second floor. This could spell disaster. The Micro Uzi's prepped and ready. He walks inside of that room. He's going to be finding another knock. That's still one player alive for Ignite Gold, but Marvis, he's in the sights. I mean, Carnage has to spray him down right here. This is one of the stronger players, and there it is. Easy peasy. Ignite Gold going to be wiped out in 5th position here, but 4 teams remain. Are you scared to be fully engaged with Nova?
Sam holding down. Are you scared behind the rock? Both of them one hit. This is just Jay popping back round. Jay, be careful, man. You're the healthiest member. TJ Tattoo going to put himself res back up now, so he's in a position to compete against Nova. Spacestation Gaming are in full recovery, and HQA Zephyr just hiding out still, camping and trying to wait for more time, hopefully get those higher positions. And they're just going to retreat into their properties. Nova, the only one not on the property market right now, but they are going to be hiding behind that giant divot in the ground and playing around that as cover.
How many fingers does a monkey paw have on it, Trid?
I'm going to say 4. I'm going to guess we're pretty close.
Hope so.
We're pretty close to them, so I'm just going to use what we have and say it's the same thing.
Exactly. Nova now starting to prep for at least a little bit of a push here in phase number 9, the ultimate collapse, where the blue zone will be at least falling in on itself, and all of these teams will be forced into it, whether they like it or not, or risk going out to the blue zone without having a fighting chance. Try to claim victory on Vikendi. But Jay, are you scared? We'll be rolling out. The blue zone starts to work its way in, and Jay is quickly feeling the hurt that is applied here as the shots start to come out. It's going to be all eyes on Nova. How will they be able to push up off of this low ground that they've been holding on to for the last better part of 10 minutes?
Sixless is on the roof with other members of Space Station Gaming. They want to see where it is. They are exposing themselves. Sixless is actually going to go down to the blue here, because he cannot play behind the cover because that's in there now. They're just trying to burn as many members as they can. They've knocked a few onto their knees. Carnage wants to stay alive, press forward. The blue zone's going to be damaging him. Beowulf's in the best position. He's central circle. The flip round comes. He dies to the damage in the blue zone. Beowulf might walk away with this one and win up the med battle against Cal. It's all about who can keep popping the first aid and who has the resources to survive. Cal gets that first aid kit on. Beowulf does it to match as well. He's only got 11, but there's 11 first aid kits for Beowulf. He's going to win this. TJ Tattoo cannot keep up.
Cannot keep up the blue zone damage too much, and that's going to be a huge victory coming in.
Wait, they went out first?
They won! They won! Nova went out. He wasn't able to get the first aid off, and that's the risk you run. It's
they both died!
It's a crapshoot. You know, it's a crapshoot, Trid, and you don't want to be in that position. I think Nova is going to be contemplating that and saying maybe in a 1v1 situation with guns involved, we could have claimed victory on that, but the blue says no, it's going over to the way of AreYouScared here in game number 1, the chicken dinner, and well, they did it with getting a fair amount of kills as well, so all congratulations going over to AreYouScared.
Not bad for them. Zephyr unfortunately wasn't able to get out any further than that 4th place, so he was one of the first ones to drop down, so not a total loss for them being able to clinch out 4th place after taking a lot of casualties during the map. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you map number 2. We're moving over to Sanhok.
PUBG Mobile for free.
Welcome back, PUBG Mobile esports fans, to the PUBG Mobile Club Open for the North American region. We are in the final week of competition for the semifinals, and well, an exciting game to start off the day on Vikendi, but we're changing over to Sanhok here. But before we do, let's talk about that match, Trish.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to a med battle, which I don't always like to see, and you assume it would go ahead and be a little bit more explosive, but they just missed time. They couldn't get the first aid in fast enough in order to keep up, and it was ultimately AreYouScared walking away with the victory. And our replay package kicks off. We have a nice little Lations Unidos flank and pincer movement onto BlindedByWin.
Showing up and showing out is exactly what they did, and AreYouScared did here, as they saw Espinosa come out of the blue zone and will end to the grave. He goes, but I want to talk about this clip in particular. This was an insane spray coming out of 5 from Ignite Gold. He was able to tack down 2 of the members of HQA, trying to move across that wide open area of the road. But while this was happening, one of the other teammates on this squad was diligent, spotting out Team Anarchy, getting another spray. And that was really a story of Ignite Gold here. They were aggressive, and it kind of led into their downfall here in this building with Spacestation Gaming.
And moving over to the circus tent, the clown noses were flowing around as everyone was walking up the stairs one by one. This really should have been Ignite Golds to take. They just didn't confirm the kills. They went for the reses and they let those creepy crawlies go away, and then they came back to bite them as they just stormed the building afterwards and finish them all off. You could have got some confirmed flushes and points on the board there, but you went for the safe strategy instead of going for the knocks.
And here's the med battle that we were talking about. Nova going to be at least about a half a second too late, and that's going to be too bad for them. But second place is nothing to shug your face at, or whatever you want to do with your face at a second place finish. I don't even know at that point. But a huge first place victory for AreYouScared. That's the biggest takeaway from game number 1. Spacestation Gaming as well coming in 3rd position. So our top teams at least continue to be consistently in the top placements of these games, and we'll see if that transpires in game number 2 of the evening as we pop over to Sanhok. And Trid, let's sort of talk about what we can expect to see from these teams on this jungle map, the smallest map of the PUBG Mobile lineup.
Expect to see a lot of action, but you know what I want to do before we do that, Phil? I want to take a look at the standings, see how map number 1 shaped them up for this evening. So you can see a lot of the teams with 9 matches played, getting some extra points on the board. Lations Unidos, unfortunately, in that 24th place spot right now. They're currently lagging 9 points behind Ace Esports, who aren't going to be playing today. Their job is to leapfrog them and get further up into that top 16. Let's have a look at that right now and see who's currently safe if we were to end the semifinals right now.
All right, so some teams are climbing. You can see the tempo storm has now dropped just a little bit. They were having a tough day yesterday. They're not playing here tonight, but you can see that other teams are already starting to make up that point differential and shift around on our leaderboards as we come into the top 8 placements. The teams who have had the most success throughout the semifinals so far. No surprise to see Spacestation Gaming continuing on that climb, and boy, what a gap they have certainly made for themselves.
It's all about making that cushion or widening that gap between themselves and Misfits Gaming. There's only one way they're going to be doing that, by getting points on the board. And how do you get points on the board, Phil? You play more maps of PUBG Mobile. We're jumping into map number 2. We're on to Sanhok.
Yes, that we are. The plane is certainly in the air, and we're going to at least have a good idea of where these players will be dropping here very shortly as we pop on to the jungle. It's become a little bit more humid in here, a different atmosphere than we were working with in game number 1, but another fair playing path. I think that's at least the big takeaway here from your map screen. The players have not been forced to really divert off of any type of strategy that they were planning on coming into this game before they saw that. And with that, all of the players have departed the cargo hold, now left to their own devices, their own strategies here to see if they can come up victorious to continue to climb on the leaderboards.
We had some fun circles in Sanhok that have implicated all 3 islands over to that western center. And for now, all 3 islands are technically implicated, but it's leaning more over to the main island over to the east, which is not as occupied as you'd like to see it. There's some early conflicts going on right now as well. Some shots being traded, I believe, by Revenants and Team Anarchy, who have landed over into that northeast area of the map. The rest of the teams are splitting around these islands, and for the most part, I'm looking at Shoot to Win as well as Esports NA, who just landed on top of each other as well. So there's a couple of hot drop scenarios happening around the map.
Paradise Resort has been an area of Sanhok that has traditionally been held by the Misfits, who are not here in this lobby tonight. Well, that leaves it open for other squads to move in. Revenants with the same idea as Team Anarchy. And, well, these squads are going to fight. There's no pulling out of this. Killer going to be separated off from his other teammates, 9 and Micro TT, down there to the south, as Espinosa has already at least felt some of the hurt from this enemy team inside of, you know, what should be one of the more relaxing areas of the map just by its name.
No, it's not. And when Misfits are away, the Clowns will play. Revenants and Team Anarchy going to be fighting over territory here, and the angles are being held by Team Anarchy. They've spread out a lot further than the likes of Revenants, and they're just playing around cover for now. They are entirely aware they are not alone, but they don't want to be the first person to expose themselves and open themselves up to potential gunfire and basically go down first. It does sign a bit of a death sentence for your team.
Certainly does. Vigilante and Espinoza will be trying to at least wrap around the Paradise Resort, trying to snuff out any of their enemy combatants that happen to be in this area, and they're going to be disengaging. Micro TT and Killer just trying to get out of dodge, but Espinoza and his teammates are in tow. They're trying to chase them down. The barrel 762 prepped and ready to spray down should he find the lines of sight of any of these retreating members of Team Anarchy. I mean, Trid, they're not backing off of this. This is Revenants. They are running the gun in.
There's a member of Anarchy that's still in the Paradise Resorts area. Espinoza will get sight of Micro TT, missing out on the spray there. Going to have fire returned upon him. Immediately goes into prone and repositions as Killer and Micro TT are making angles. 9 is wrapping around to join them and almost fight this 3v2 that they've led 2 members of Revenants into. Keeping their heads down for now. They don't want to show it, but they're holding defensively against the aggression of Revenants.
I mean, Revenants have choked out at least Killer and Micro TT's opportunity of picking up the plethora of loot that at least lands itself inside of the Paradise Resort. So that's at least the significant takeaway from this engagement early on as Revenants pull back into the compound to do just that, pick up the loot that they are shutting off Micro TT and the rest of Team Anarchy from getting. You see 9 off there in the distance, disengaging off to the east, just essentially conceding this area of the map over to the Revenants. But there are other teams, Trid, that landed on top of each other. It's certainly going to be congested as far as these teams try to make these transitions for better location inside of phase number 1. BlindedByWin, one of those teams that found themselves landing up on top of Wildcard down in Boot Camp Charlie. Well, they're already making that move. They've got the tuk-tuk, the slowest vehicle besides the scooter, the Vespa over here on Sanhok. It's, you know, it's not the best option if you're trying to fly through those transitions, but it certainly is one of the most stylish.
It takes a group of brave men and women to be able to jump into a tuk-tuk and ride that into battle. So surely that has got to inspire fear in the hearts of troops that are sitting in wait, knowing that someone is opting to take that into you. You got to thinking, wow, that guy's got some cojones on him right now.
I like that there are only 3 seats in it. So yeah. there is the chance for one smart member of the squad to say, I'm not getting in that death trap. And, well, we pop over here to boot camp. It's going to be 2 squads. Tempo Storm on the outsides. AreYouScared in the insides. TJ Tattoo up on top of that lobster building. The claws certainly right there. And if you didn't know, that's why it's called Lobster. It's a red building, and you see the big old claws and some of the holes in the rooftop as well. Make it look like eyes. So if you didn't see that before, now you'll never forget it. Lobster building inside of the boot camp area on Sanhok. Tempo, though, they're going to be on the coastal lines, the cliffs that separate that mainland of Sanhok from that northwestern island. Shots already coming out, though. It's going to be shoot to win. Psycho connecting on a version 2 white Was, and version 2 white again. This is a team that needs to have huge performance, able to trade back. Lopez going to be going down and flushed out of the game entirely.
Ulysses as well going to be dropped down to his knees. Psycho going for a quick med before he does anything too risky. Bad player doing the exact same thing. There's a lot more version 2 white guns looking across this area. You've only got Psycho and I believe Rafa still up to try and get Ulysses back on his feet. He's going for the res, but now Psycho's dropped down, so you got 2 paramedics to try and save him once the healing comes out for shoot to win. Version 2 white going on the aggression. Psycho, not long for this world right now. He can only lie in cover for so long as Malum is going on an aggressive push, and there comes the flush. Nice and easy coming out for them. The shoot to win up on the high ground, still recovering.
And if you recall from our previous game, the first game of the evening over on Vikendi, well, shoot to win, they lost Rafa early on in that game, and now they're taking casualties again early in this game, game number 2. But Nova, they're going to be spotting out the Pittsburgh Knights. Nice long-range shots from Sam, and crew rather will be connecting out of the members of the Knights up there on the hillside, and that's going to be Beowulf capitalizing with the micro Uzi from range.
From that range?
You know, who knows? If you got the damage, if you got the skills, you can certainly find the connections. A few taps in that direction will be finding their knock, though.
I'm fairly certain that there was a knock with an M24. How are you losing duels at that range with an M24 against a micro Uzi? That's absurd.
We all make decisions, Trid. That
wasn't a decision. You know, they're not opting into that one.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, but Nova certainly comes up on top of it. Killfeed continues to light up. Clonus, Lations Unidos onto the members of Hokage.
Knocked.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a bit of an engagement. You can see the tuk-tuk has now come back to be the deadliest decision that the members of Hokage have made in this game. They're going to be wiped out. Hashirama and Sune, the only 2 members remaining from that squad, now trying to save whatever placement points they can here in game number 2.
High ground and range still being held by Pittsburgh Knights. They're keeping Nova at bay for now, but it's a very central position, so you don't have to force Nova out of anything too early, and they probably won't be forced out either, depending on where that next circle will fall. Let's pull up phase number 2 just so you can have a quick look at it on the map and just see where everything is. Tempo, getting their eyes on AreYouScared right now. May need to force onto them later, but for the most part, we're looking at version 2 white, shoot to win, cream, and ignite gold to make some movements into that next play phase.
Interesting to see Tempo Storm still maneuvering their position around AreYouScared. AreYouScared moving out of that boot camp position over towards the northeast, just about maybe 50, 100 meters off of where they landed from the plane path, but still Tempo Storm looms very closely looking at the members of AreYouScared. You saw them previously kind of on the hillside looking down at the compound that the members TJ Tattoo, the rest of the squad had rolled into. But Cream, they're rotating Trid off of that far northwestern island. They're going to have to cross this river, one of the extreme choke points of this Sanhok map, and thankfully for them, at least no one is lying in wait outside of boot camp to try to snipe them out.
Thankfully for them, but they will easily enter into that circle for now. But you've got shoot to win behind them, so unless they make this rotation across the river quite quickly, they may get pincered against a body of water and a squad looking to make that same rotation down the line. And even further behind them is version 2 white, so this is a convoy of active swimmers coming to the bay.
So now with the positioning of version 2 white behind the members of shoot to win, it kind of raises the question if shoot to win.
Oh no, they're going to tank blue.
Well, yeah, but if they try to bomb into the river, they're going to have the members of Cream off to the east on the mainland, and well, action already popping up here. Pittsburgh Knights finding another squad, able to capitalize on this. Manny going to be dropped down, trying to recover off of this. He is going to have those meds rolling, but Woods has been knocked and is bleeding out, and Arcs and Manny are in a very tough position to try to provide some support. Wi-Fi getting knocked as well. The IGN for in-game leader rather for this Pittsburgh Knights squad, just trying to do whatever he can to both call in his teammates for that support, but Arc's going to be sprayed down. Jagger with a nice overwatch position. M416 spray comes in and takes him down.
Nice and easy cleanup there for Jagger. The res came in on Wi-Fi. He's now medded up as well. Tables have been turned against BlindedByWin. He's got Woods. He's been left up here to now die as Parker and Manny go for a rotation, but they're leaving Woods out in the win. He will get dropped down by 7. BlindedByWin now having 2 players remaining. If the rest of Pittsburgh Knights have anything to say about it, that's going to quickly drop down to 0.
Blue zone starting to work its way in towards phase number 2. Phase number 3 is on the horizon as Tempo Storm starts to at least take a few casualties in the kill feed to the hands of the Revenants. And this is interesting. It's a little bit south of Paradise Resorts. Revenants pushing out of that position, but the Pittsburgh Knights are under fire once again. Wi-Fi up on that tiered hill will be connected upon by Rain from Wildcard with a QBU DMR. Nice connections. He's going to be flushed out of the game as well, so that's significant. The IGL for this squad has been wiped out, but some, at least skeptics or some critics of PUBG competitive can sort of say this might be an opening for Wi-Fi to now take a back seat and essentially direct his teammates on how to play out the rest of the game.
Could be a potential opportunity for them to do that. Let's have a look at shoot to win and version 2 white. We've opted not to go for the swim just yet, and now we're in a compound facing off against each other. That's a 4v2, and I'm uncertain whether version 2 white know there's only 2 members of shoot to win left. Drapper taking a few shots at range. We believe is knocked based on his HP bar, but he might just be low HP. No, he's definitely knocked. He's on his knees right now. Blue zone coming in. There's no way Woz makes this out alive. He's just going to be killed off by Blue if he's not killed off by bullets.
Came into this world crawling, and crawling is how he's going to be going out there as the blue zone now starts to take away at his health in combination with the bleed out damage. Shoot to win continuing though to hold on to that western flank as the circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Phase 3 is about to pop and give us a better idea of the landscape for the mid game here in game number 2 of the evening. Spacestation Gaming though finding themselves under fire. Wildcard continuing to be a very aggressive team so far on the evening. They're being this, at least a thorn in the side of many teams here, trying to hamper any of their performance or any of their ability to rotate in safely with all 4 members alive. Zeus continuing though to look on, trying to spot out Carnage, and the shift comes in, a hard shift down to the southeast of our previous phase number 2, and Trid the Corey is dead center. This is an interesting area of the map for these teams to have to play around.
It's a bit of a rat trap. You jump in there, you might not be able to get back out, unfortunately. If you're looking at the northwest, that's where most of the teams are coming in from. AreYouScared, Tempo, Revenants, and of course Lations Unidos pulling up the rear. They're all looking to come through that northwest corridor. Ranger's got his eyes on Spacestation Gaming still. Wildcard's holding this terrain. They're in the circle, nice and safely, just to the northwest of Cave. to the south of that quarry. They're going to be able to hold this position for longer as their position is still implicated by that next play area.
So this is the interesting area of the map based off of this shift. A lot of teams having to rotate down from the northern positions just off of Paradise Resort. And Revenants are already going to be moving in. Team Anarchy inside of the building. James possibly spotting out. Sure enough, yes, he did spot one of the members of Revenants out. Peralta going to be connected on immediately with the M416, taking him down. But he is going to be returned upon. That is going to be James getting quickly knocked inside of the building. And his other 3 teammates are far off in the distance, essentially just looking down and waving goodbye, as James will quickly be flushed out of the game here in a matter of seconds. But they are under fire from a different squad. AreYouScared spotting out this Revenants push. And you got to be worried about this trade. They're not in the safe zone, and neither is AreYouScared, but they're going to have the best opportunity to adjust off of this hill and continue to put pressure on these teams in the north.
Could be able to play Gatekeeper, just need to get up the hill. They get high ground and a better position to be able to attack the aggressing team that has to move towards them by virtue of the circle positioning. Their next circle is now starting to move in, so Hands may be forced here. Rain having a quick inspection, and look what he finds in that rat trap, a nice bit of cheese in the form of a crate.
But a rat trap, when you pull that cheese away, it could certainly snap on your tail. And although he doesn't feel it just yet, we'll have to keep an eye on that quarry area because it can quickly become a chaotic battle for any team involved in that area. Revenants, though, pushing in. They did take some casualties to the hands of Team Anarchy, a few other squads separating them and getting inside of the safe zone as Cream at least positions themselves off of the rather southwestern position of HQA. Michael and the rest of the crew, though, Yifei, looking in that direction. They are aware of Cream's presence.
They move further into that circle area. Not quite crossed the border yet, still picking up loot on their way. But they're about to get into the territory where they can enter into the new play area. Version 2 White having to actually take a long flank right now as Espinosa will get the knock onto Jay of AreYouScared, who have got that high ground. They are still playing Gatekeeper into the new zone, stopping the northern aggression from coming in. Molly going to be popped over by Cows, takes the spray onto Vigilante, deals some damage, but not enough to get the knock. And Jay is still on his knees right now. They need to go for the recovery and get him back in the game. He's bleeding out fast.
At this point in time, Revenants essentially have to take this fight. They're already wasting too much of their utility to try to advance just ever so slightly. That's going to be a nice flush, picking up at least 1 kill in this engagement. AreYouScared going to be dropped down to 3 players alive, and it makes this gatekeep a little bit harder for them to hold. But Cal says no worries whatsoever. AKM connections will be had on the Vigilante, and this is a tough spot to be in. Blue Zone working its way in. It's going to be on the backside of Revenants in just a matter of about 3 seconds, and there it is. They're already starting to at least succumb to some of this damage over time that they got to combat against now. And moving up this hill into AreYouScared will not be easy at this stage.
Kraken going to get the knock on the cloners. Tempo Storm and Lations Unidos are taking that engagement. TJ Tattoo and AreYouScared, they're in the area, but they're taking fire from across the way. Shoot to win. Looking to get in on the action with the knock on the TJ Tattoo.
Maybe need to send a bill over to the Revenants for that bodyguard service here. Espinosa going to be pushing over now to Tanker, trying to get inside of the shack. But keep in mind, they're not out of the blue zone yet, and they might be in the lines of sight of Shoot to Win as they continue to push up this direction where AreYouScared is taking casualties. Killfeed, though, lighten up Nova onto HQA. But AreYouScared, they're lying in wait. Essentially, that's all they have to do, but they also have to be aware that the circle has shifted away from them, Trid. They're going to have to make movements of their own. How much time can they commit to gatekeeping the members of the Revenants?
Well, Shoot to Win bypassing them altogether, getting in vehicles, driving straight for the center of the circle.
Oh, God.
AreYouScared now pivoting. We can see their field of view as they look south this time. So they're looking to start making that movement now. But they still need to be aware that Revenants are in the area. Mateus going to get a knockdown from Nova this time as Cal now suppressing Revenants. Tanker's going to go down to the blue here easy. He hasn't got the HP. He can try and med up, but he should go down. One more tick more to do the trick to get him down on his knees. But HQA and Nova are currently clashing across the map.
Cal going to be pulling off of this entirely. He says, I inflicted enough pain on the members of Revenants. Let the blue zone do the rest, or any other team that happens to cross their paths as they make their way into phase number 4, which is about to close out here in about maybe 30 to 45 seconds time. Creams, Kira, going to be trying to at least snake their way in, very aware of the fact that other teams from version 2 White are pushing in. His Spacestation Gaming lighting up the kill feed as well. But everyone just kind of in that transition phase because Trid, it's going to be a hell of a circle to play around. We are going to the quarry for the mid to late game, and you know, players might not want to see it. I've been wanting to see it the entirety of this tournament because it creates such unique situations that teams might not be practicing on in scrim play. And it really is going to be a true test of a team's ability here as we continue on.
Beowulf will get a knock onto Yifei, so that Nova HQA fight still raging on in the background. Jagger will send Marvis to his knees. Suppressive fire coming in to deal with them. Cheddar will get the knock as Yefe being flushed out by Beowulf, Zephyr as well. So it's starting to tip in favor of Nova as the fight continues to go on. Revenants starting to get revenge on AreYouScared. They've dropped down Cal, but here's Edwin taking shots at Michael from HQA, receiving some damage himself from the side. Kuang with the flank, getting that crossfire locked down onto the Nova compound.
Kato going to be spotted out. Kuang now trying to avoid the blue zone damage, and he's sealing, essentially signing his death warrant right there, trying to hop behind the rock. Will be spotted out. Sam with the connections from the M416 ringing true as he tries to watch for the flush. But Kuang going to be silently sitting behind that rock, succumbing to the blue zone damage, and will be going out of the game. Sending Michael to continue on as that solo player for that squad. AreYouScared, though, taking even more casualties. Revenants have worked their way out of that northern side of the zone, and well, they said you were trying to gatekeep us. Well, we're here to make you feel the hurt for that decision, and TJ Tattoo will be going out of the game.
Revenants just pull out the Uno reverse card, go, no you, and start gatekeeping them instead. You can see now there's still another member of Mighty is still in the blue zone, trying to find a way around this gatekeeping position that Revenants now pick. They completely flip the script on them, and now they're feeling the hurt for it.
Wildcard in the middle of the circle.
You love to see it.
They're in that high ground position, the only compound essentially that's not going to be inside of the quarry. And you're going to see other people try to move in here. Spacestation Gaming, that's a hillside that they're currently residing on the eastern side of this phase. And Team Anarchy is going to be working their way in towards Space Station. This is going to be an engagement that's almost inevitable by virtue of how small the phase is getting and how much area is, albeit playable. But these teams aren't going to want to play down into the quarry. We're going to lose about half of our lobby here, Trid, in just about a minute.
Nova looking to take the express train at the moment as they drop down. They've got the smoke available to use as well. Edwin going to lay down some suppressive fire onto Parker. But it's Kira who gets the knock. Looking for the kill steal. He's not going to find it. Rain actually going to take that one away. As Michael now will get knocked down by Cotto, so they're looking towards that HQA squad, try and build up some more casualties. Here's a spray down from Lations Unidos as they move out. Sam's aim is true. Will find that final full kill and knock them down. Mateus being dropped to his knees in the blue zone. Will have to go down to the quarry if anything, but it's going to be sprayed down by Sam. Finds the flush and confirms that kill. Juicy looking to do the same on Team Anarchy. Killer in his sights. Edwin being dropped down by Cheto. A9 or Team Anarchy 9 feeling the hurt as well as Manny tries to chase this blue zone and get into safety. He's the last man standing for BlindedByWin, and the grenade is trying to make sure he is not going to be remaining much longer.
I mean, just looking at the map, all of these teams are just trying to stay on the edge as much as possible. They don't want to commit into the wide open areas and essentially become fish in a barrel. AreYouScared, though, wipes out the Revenants before almost going down himself. Mighty dropped down to about 10% HP in that engagement. He lives to see another day, or at least another team get wiped out is his goal. But Nova has committed. They are inside of the quarry, going to be spotting out Cream Esports, trying to spray him down, but immediately going to be turned on. Karma with the M416 headshot onto Beowulf.
So here's the best thing about what Nova have done is they've opted into this low ground territory, and they can either be a case example for why you don't do it, or they can flip the script and show you why there might be merit to doing this strategy. Already they're taking fights across with people just all over the quarry who may have high ground advantage on them, but they're trying to play around the cover as best they can, so they're only taking the fights they want to on the low ground with teams on a level playing field.
Phase number 6 is popped. The game gets increasingly more difficult for all teams except for Wildcard. Spacestation Gaming having to move off of that hill. Micro TT, the lone member of Team Anarchy, just to the north. But all of our teams that committed to that quarry area, well, they're now facing off against a lot of pressure. And it's not pressure on their front side. It's the blue zone on their back, essentially trying to force them as far into this next phase as possible. And it's going to be difficult. This uphill battle is essentially going to be exactly that. Beowulf already spotting up members of Wildcard. They need to get a knock here. They need that window of opportunity to safely move, and they don't have a lot of time to do so.
Blue pressing against their backs right now, and it's actually moved in front of them, so they're aggressively playing against the clock to try and get something done. Beowulf staying maybe a little bit too long. One more bullet should knock him down. Even going for the spray of Micro Uzi. He's dropped all of his meds, or he's used all of them. He's just being a sacrificial lamb here. May try and go for the crawl back into the circle, but he'd rather his team go on and survive. Ranger laying down the herd onto Space Station Gaming, who are also trying to approach this compound. They've got so much security to play out of. I really think this is Wildcard Gaming's round to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. Wildcard playing off their mantra, stack the deck, and will they have definitely stacked it in their favor, still finding themselves inside of this next phase, the northwestern corner, but Space Station Gaming's Juicy is pushing up. He's able to get a nice Molotov onto Illusions from Wildcard. He continues to push in. Carnage with an M416 headshot on the Ranger. Just two more members to worry about, Zeus and Rain.
Juicy with the pre-fire, looking to go into the compound. Zeus holding the angle. Rain's got more HP to play with here. Nova have survived, but they've got to fight against 7, who's a low member. There's the spray from Zeus. Hokage's going to be dropped to his knees by 7. That's multiple members there going for it. Edward will deal with him handily, but they have to get Nova back in the game and res up. Juicy is looking to shoot any member that goes anywhere near the compound as the rest of the space station hold the angles and heal up. Nova are given some breathing time to get back in the game, though. That's the most important thing to keep their dreams alive. 3 members remaining for each squad. There's 3 of them. We're heading for a showdown.
I mean, these are 3 of our strongest teams here in the entirety of this 24-team semifinals that we're working off of. Juicy, though, he's trying to work his way inside of the circle. He's been able to find at least a little bit of safe area next to the building where Wildcard is currently holding on to and has been holding on to for the better part of about 5 to 10 minutes. But they have to recover. That engagement took away illusions and certainly took away a lot of their armor and meds in the process. Angry, though, waiting inside of the window. He's going to be trying to third-person peek. Any of the members of Wildcard moving inside. Juicy holding around that western edge, trying to spray down anyone that tries to vault outside of it, but grenades are being prepped. They're trying to find this AoE damage.
Trying to look for it. Wildcard are stacking up in the corner. They're trying to play around the smoke and shoot into it. Nova are waiting this one out. They're fine. You want to fight? Go for it. We'll kill whoever is the victor of this war. As they press up to get themselves into the circle, or at least in a better position, playing on the outside of the house. Now, Wildcard is looking their direction, but Spacestation Gaming have now got the backs of Wildcard in their faces. Koto sprays into the building, but he can play around the cover for a little bit longer. He's just on the edge of that newly formed circle. It's Space Station and Wildcard who may have to commit outwards into Nova's line of fire.
We so often forget about the dead members of squads and what essentially they did in those games to get to this point with the squad. Huge grenades, though, coming out from Space Station Gaming. Nova continues to sit strong on the southern side of this phase. But again, Beowulf, the dead member of Nova, is the only reason why these 3 members, Sam, Edwin, and Kato, have been able to get here. He was able to provide that cover fire, the sacrificial lamb, as you coined it, Trid, and that is huge. The members of Nova, the fans of Nova, have to be giving so much credit over to Beowulf right now. But it all comes down to what can SSG, what can Wildcard, what can Nova do here in the final phase of this game. Phase number 8 is popped, and it is moving in. Yes, indeed it is. Someone's going to have to budge out of this building, and well, who's going to be there to catch him?
Look at the obscured vision between the line between Nova and the rest of these 2 squads. Sam's getting on the rooftop. This is an amazing play by Nova here. They just have the advantage innately. They're going to be able to play above it. Teams will have to move out of the building at some point into Nova's line of sight. They're stacking up and stacking the deck against Wildcard as they move around. Angry has to move into the building, but he exposed himself to Edwin's fire with that micro Uzi. Wrapping around the back. Actually, hang on a minute. He's stuck around there. Nova haven't been able to react to it. Angry's now gone down because Sam's found the knock. Juicy's running around the building, trying to play underneath that roof and play in the smoke. But Sam's just taking blind shots. That's another member knocked down. It's actually Koto going down while Juice is being knocked as well. There's the flush and removing multiple members. It's just carnage alive for Space Station Gaming, and Sam has the high ground to play around as well as Edwin.
Still 3 teams alive. That's going to quickly change here as the members of all of these squads continue to get whittled down. Space Station Gaming. Carnage trying to hold on the solo member for this squad with 2 members of Wildcard inside of the building. Trying to med up, not going to be able to do so. Too much damage being inflicted on his person. Tries to spray down the members of Wildcard, but not able to do so. And out goes Space Station Gaming in 3rd place. But Nova, they popped off of the roof. They're trying to capitalize on this. Trying to catch Zeus and the rest of Wildcard off guard, but it's not going to be enough. Wildcard comes up with a huge Game 2 victory, and that's going to be 13 kills to their name as well. It was their game to win, and they did it in high fashion, coming up with the victory.
Well played there by Wildcard. Excellent spray down there from Zeus to get the final 2 members of Nova and secure the victory for Wildcard Gaming. A team that's looking to get themselves further up the rankings and increase that gap between Group B participant Misfits Gaming, who are more than likely going to look to challenge them on that final day tomorrow. But it came down to a 3-team showdown. We even called it. They're 3 of our highest performing teams. And we can see Nova took the initiative by taking the rooftop first, playing around that. But then ultimately the circle shifted away and they had to play into the building to try and win. I don't think they were comfortable going for that med battle, which is why they definitely wanted to take the engagement early.
I mean, here's the thing. If you're one of the powerful teams, why let meds decide your fate? Yes. Go for the frags, play to your strong suits, and capitalize on the win, just like Wildcard did in that game. But that's Game 2 in the books. We've got 2 more games on the evening, both going to be on Erangel.
Zombie, Darkest Night, the newest mode in the zombie universe, is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding the skill will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
Welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Club Open Semifinals for North America. We are halfway done with the evening, and an exciting set of 2 games have been played, but get your Tupperware ready for that double serving of Erangel, because it's about to be popping. But Trid, let's go through that last game. It was an exciting ending, and we've got the replays to do it justice.
Yeah, the conclusion was really good. I think the intent was right by Nova to get on the rooftop. We're already jumping into those final moments here, and you can see them, they're using the rock. Kova, Sam, Koto, Sam and Edwin, all from Nova. So they're going to get on this rooftop and just try and play the angles when they try to merge from the building. Sam goes for a couple of spray downs, will get the knock onto Juicy, and they handedly deal with Spacestation Gaming. Then they have to try and rush against Wildcard.
Yeah, you saw them drop off of that building. It was an interesting choice. You know, I saw some of the people in chat saying, you know, why did Nova jump down? And they didn't want to leave it to a med battle. They were trying to do exactly what Wildcard was doing by fragging out, trying to seal the deal by their own guns, and Wildcard came up victorious on that. A huge round victory coming in for the Wildcard members, but again, it's not over yet with 2 more games to be played out, and it's going to be at least interesting to see how that Erangel map plays itself out with these teams kind of dropping on one another. I think we're going to see a few contested areas.
Yeah, contested areas I'm looking at right now. I think Pachinki, potentially also Yasnaya as well, based off the 2 teams in the lobby. Milta area, potentially. It depends on whether Cream spread out far enough to Milta power, rather than relying back on the closer to Milta area. You potentially have 3 teams dropping there.
Yeah.
Nova, they're obviously going to take Novo. That's uncontested. They didn't teams really drop in there. George Paul's had a couple of hot drops. So these are like the hotbed areas in this current lobby I think we need to take a look at. We could be in for some surprises. Some teams may want to mix it up. Let's try and see if we can get some standings information on the board for you, just see how this has been affected now. So not looking too hot for Lations Unidos. Well, Lations Unidos and Shoot to Win, they're getting up there. For Hokage and Version 2 White, they're the teams in the danger zone right now. This is their last game day, and if they don't even break top 16, it's all over for them.
Yeah, they only have 2 more games to play, and if they find themselves on this bottom 8, this last page of standings, their fate is sealed. They'll be going out, and we'll know it at the end of today. But we continue up the leaderboards, at least placements 9 through 16. Getting a little bit close. Lights Out and the rest of the crew continue to pump themselves up by virtue of other teams making movements. Tempo Storm continues to drop, though, by that very same reason.
Not looking good for Tempo Storm, but you've got to remember, this 9 to 14th place area, it's only divided by 15 points. There's a lot of teams in there. There's 6 teams in there, and they've divided by 15 points. It's not a lot, so it's a lot of mobility to be had in that next section, but Tempo Storm needs to be concerned. If they're finishing 13th, 14th, they could be knocked into the bottom 8, depending on the performance of the teams that still need to play their 16th map.
That was the sweaty page of the standings. Let's pop over, though, to the top 8 teams here in the PUBG Mobile Club Open Semifinals. These are teams that are sitting at least fairly pretty, at least in their confidence, going in to their final games, if they're being played today, or going into tomorrow's set of games. And again, Spacestation Gaming continues to climb, 345 points to their name. That's pretty incredible, Trey.
I'm looking, Wildcard Misfits could pop off tomorrow. Look how close those 2 teams are. Wildcard will have an edge going in from their 12 games, but of course Misfits could also bring it back and put them down a peg into tomorrow's games. Let's go over to our 3rd map of the day. We're jumping straight into Erangel.
And here's the playing path. It's going to be at least a little bit different than the playing path that we've seen all day. It's favored over towards the western side of Erangel, and with this being an 8x8 kilometer map, some of those East Coast I guess, maybe priority locations for some of these teams. Milta, Power, Yasnaya even, are going to be a bit of a stretch. Novo, certainly a stretch, but you already see Nova popping out of the plane very early on. They're going to be committing to that. No strangers to at least having to soar a little bit to find their location. AreYouScared will be taking up the Misfits location that's not claimed here by virtue of Misfits not even being in the lobby. And so this is a good awareness pick for the members of AreYouScared who want to continue to try to climb, have these good engagements throughout these games to at least feel safe going into the final day.
They've also dropped on here themselves a few times, even when Misfits have been in the area. I've watched AreYouScared and Misfits like split the map when they've done this before, so this is a location they want to favor. Now the circle's moving up to northeast, so I'm looking at the likes of potentially Revenants or Spacestation Gaming to really be favored by this circle, because they will drop onto the Yasnaya area. You can see Spacestation Gaming moving further into the northeast and moving further over to Yasnaya. Just want to see where Revenants have ultimately dropped down themselves, though.
I'll tell you this, the best feeling in the world is being experienced by Spacestation Gaming. You pop out of the plane, you start heading over towards Yasnaya. We all expected that. But in the process of parachuting over in that direction, well, the circle lands right on top of them. But we pop over to Revenants. They're going to be here in South Georgia Pole with not one, not two, but 3 other teams. And this is going to be a little bit difficult for these squads to loot through. The back 6 area and the apartments certainly very crowded. Only one team in the front 6, and that is going to be Ignite Gold. Very aggressive team, at least so far today, so expect the action to pop off.
I think these hot drops have been mainly dictated by that flight path, because it's unusual that we see teams commit to this one so far west. Tempo's uncontested in Pachinki. I expected to see potentially Ignite Gold or Cream Esports potentially contest them on that one, but instead we got Ignite Gold up here in South George, and Cream are actually moving into where Wildcard and BlindedByWin are, just to the south of that circle. So there's a lot of chaos really being implemented into this purely by virtue of that flight path and that first circle. In fact, look at how much space Space Station has to work with over in Yasnaya. It's completely uncontested. The eastern coast of this map is just completely barren.
Uncontested for now. They won't be seeing much action, but they have to be at least aware that other teams are going to be bombing into those centralized locations. But back to this fight here. Or
it's not a fight, it's a standoff.
I mean, it's soon going to be a fight. That's certainly one takeaway. All of these teams will have to rotate eventually over towards the east to get inside of the safe zone. But at least a few things to talk about here. These teams don't have a lot of movement around this South Georgia Pole area, and although South Georgia Pole is a high priority loot location, it doesn't have enough loot to support 4 different squads, especially with all of these teams taking up different regions of this town. So everyone is going to be a little bit pressed for loot, and certainly pressed for time as well if they continue to sit around and let this standoff continue.
Vigilante very close to HQA by himself. Michael's almost being the divider between the rest of Revenants and HQA themselves. Vigilante's getting very close to Yifei, or vice versa. You can see Peralta on the rooftop now. You're trying to use the third-person peek, and Michael looks out the window. Could have some gunfire traded. Vigilante hears the footsteps of Zeef and will reposition himself and have to trade information for doing so, as he moves or tries to reposition to the safety of his team.
Revenants and the members of HQA are very commingled here in this. If an engagement pops off, well, the crossfire will be coming out, and I would expect to see the members of Ignite Gold try to capitalize on that as well. Maybe push up from that southern position they're holding in the front 6 to try to pick off some third-party kills. But as we expected, teams are already starting to bomb in here to Yasnaya, which was once completely
bomb
owned
in
by
and bomb straight out.
Huh, interesting. In they go, out they go. And well, they didn't necessarily have any sort of information to work off that Space Station Gaming was here other than VOD review. But why would you come here in the first place? But the action pops off. South Georgia Pole will now become a hotbed of destruction as HQA finds the initial knock on the Vigilante from Revenants.
Traded knocks for the time being, 1-for-1 so far. So they're going to go on to recovery. Peralta has a nice anchor position up on the rooftop here. Can catch movements back and forth. Maybe have to spot out Kuang if he goes up a floor at this point. But there's Ethan going to go and get the flush onto Vigilante, confirming this will now become a 4v3 in favor of HQA.
Playing a little piano there as he continues to pick up some loot, but other members of HQA are still in the distance, so are the Revenants, and they need to be aware of this. HQA able to at least pick up that res and disengage off of this. Revenants now on that western side of the back 6. And well, you're starting to at least see a little bit of movement coming out of Ignite Gold, trying to push down to the south a little bit off of this South Georgia Pole position. And that's going to allow at least more room to move around for the members of Revenants. Peralta already trying to cross the road over to the western side of this and just disengage entirely, create a little bit of room to work off of so that they can pick up some of that much needed loot. Again, they haven't been able to pick up much.
Actually looked almost like HQA disengaged from that one, but we're on board with Monarch now from Pittsburgh Knights, who are traveling across the fields. very open, exposed for the time being. There's no teams paying them too much notice. They are going to be rotating quite close to Team Anarchy when they do this. Not particularly Monarch, but the likes of Jagger looking like they're going to be a little bit further ahead of Monarch and make it into range. Shots are being fired towards them, and now Monarch's being received that information, so he might have to adapt his current path to avoid it himself.
We could see a few interesting circles come out of phase number 2. If it ends up going over towards the west, the river leading out of Yasnaya is certainly going to be implicated and in play, or it could shift all the way over to the east as well and take that at least obstacle out entirely for these teams to have to work off of. Ignite Gold, though, they've at least popped into these vehicles, pulling off of South Georgia Pole and making that rotation, but another team that landed south of that South Georgia Pole spot, Lations Unidos, are starting to collide on this bit of a rotation path. Shots coming out, that's going to be Fi trying to spray down Matthias, who is quickly pulling back to the safety of his teammates.
The little motorcycle that could. It's going to get away right now. Matthias joining Lations Unidos. Ignite Gold partially commit to that one and go, it's not worth our time. We're going to keep moving now. And they just carry on their current trajectory.
Continuing on, Matthias trailing behind Revo and his teammates Chacho. They're pulling back to the hospital. They're trying to get a different rotation angle altogether, or possibly wait for that ultralight rotation and try to escape any thoughts of teams already inside of the zone that might be looking back at them. But the blue zone is encroaching in on phase number 1, so these rotations certainly do have to come out. Any team making a rotation at this stage in the game is going to lose out on those priority spots inside of the center of phase number 1, where we're already seeing a lot of teams start to congregate. But a team that has to at least move as well, AreYouScared down here from Sosnovka Island. Nova hasn't pulled off of that Novo spot either, and it looks like AreYouScared is at least positioning for that eastern bridge. The best decision they could make would be to shift over towards the west, but they don't know what lies in wait. They don't have the benefit of that spectator view, and they're going to be going over here towards the east, and you might be seeing a potential clash from these two Sosnovka Island squads.
They have to know that Nova occupies Novo. I would not even risk this if I was there.
If they know that Sosnovka is open by virtue of Misfits not being here, yes, they have to know Trid, and you don't want to see them collide with Nova early on here.
Going to keep healing up. Matthias is trying to chase and get over and get ahead of the blue zone, but he's moving straight into Kawang. Matthias, you've already escaped death once. You're not going to do it twice. Knockdown coming in here. Easy pickup. Going over to Kawang will get the flush and steal a little bit of loot before chasing after the blue himself.
The second kill from HQA on a different squad. HQA capitalizing on these early game opportunities, and that's exactly what you have to do when you're trying to rack up points on points on points. But Lations Unidos will carry on in memory of their fallen teammate Matthias. Revo, Clonus, and Chacho are left now as a 3-man unit to try to pick up those points. Either placements or kills or a combination of the two would be their best bet. But the circle is about to finish that collapse on the phase number 1. We're about to get a better idea of where we're going, and again, there are different types of circles that we could see here that present their own type of problems for a few of the squads still making those rotations.
Still finding their way in. A lot of squads still outside the circle, all of them converging onto Yasnaya as the virtue of the circle doing that. Nova getting across that eastern bridge. AreYouScared wrapping around to the west? They're completely avoiding Nova by taking the western bridge themselves. It does force a slightly longer period in the blue, but that next circle has popped, and I think you guys need to see that because it's forcing even further north. It's splitting the map with that river to the north of Yasnaya. A lot of teams stuck on the southern side for now, but if you're Ignite Gold, and particularly for Hokage, you have the potential to play gatekeeper when these teams traveling through.
Yeah, certainly. We see Ignite Gold just south of Severny. They're at the Crossroads compound that is about 100 meters south of the entryway of that location, and it's a very strong compound, one of the strongest here on this Erangel map. They're going to be able to spot out teams wrapping around the shooting range or any team that tries to bomb into these Severny city limits. But other squads, at least over near South Georgia Pole, I'm looking at Revenants, I'm looking at Lations Unidos. You have to ask, what rotations will they be making to try to get up? Lations Unidos, they're not even worried about it just yet because they're engaged on the HQA. 2 members going to be dropped down. HQA Zyphon is able to return the favor onto Clonus, but Revo and his teammates continue on, and they're going to be wiping out the first squad of this map. Trid, that's unfortunate to see for HQA.
Yeah, you hate to see it. HQA going out in 16th place. They've only got the kill points to their names, and you get 0 points for going out in 16th. Good news for Lations Unidos, a team that desperately needs points, and now getting them on the board. They've got 4 kills to their name, and they guarantee they'll get at least 1 placement point. So, all coming up LU right now. We're on board with Anarchy, who are moving further north, looking to get into that Severny territory and potentially lock down some real estate before that next circle comes in.
Yeah, I'd like to see Team Anarchy stop here, just like they're doing the warehouse position. And it's going to be one of the high ground spots. They're going to be able to soak up information of any teams entering into Severny, but they're also going to have sights onto that Crossroads location that I was talking talking about Ignite Gold. Moving into, so this is an early game scout, an early game secure on this compound that should pay off for Team Anarchy, at least as far as phase number 2 goes. But the blue zone continues to at least make its way in. It's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. You can't avoid it. It's one of the best features of PUBG Mobile as Tanker Revenants continue on that path. They took a lot of blue zone damage trying to rotate off of South Georgia Pole, but now they find themselves at least trying to wrap around the school apartments Rozhok area to enter in off of the south.
Nice little convoy going on. 2 doubling down on the motorcycle. Maybe not the smartest ideas. You are very exposed. They only trade that off for speed, but they've only got a buggy to work with, so they have to go for the 2-2 split. Peralta and Tanker are actually turning around right now. I think they're aware someone's following them. They're going to open up on to Colonus, who's trying to serpentine away from the gunfire. Successfully doing so for now. Very little damage taken to him. He needs to move further away from the circle and wrap around to the east to find an entry point.
Thankfully, he was able to relay that information to his other teammates who have quickly shifted down to the south to avoid these lines of sight entirely. And while Revenants, they have to continue on this rotation. I don't think they're going to be content on the southern side of this circle based off of where we will likely be going in phase number 3. But speaking of phase number 2, a lot of teams have found centralized positions. Wildcard trying to do just that, just near the mountain of Stauber, where Tempo Storm is currently on the base of. And they're going to be running right into them very soon, almost in range, certainly in range now of the audible cues of that dossier being given over to the members of Tempo. And Ranger popping out just in the nick of time to get those third-person perspective peeks. And he spots out Lost. A significant amount of damage being applied. He's going to be forced to try to get the first aid off immediately, but Illusions is going to be connected on as well. A lot of damage coming out between these two squads.
What a terrible start for Tempo to have Lost taken to 10% HP, chunked out of the fight altogether. Flush coming in on Nico. There's a grenade forcing Illusions to retreat back down the hill. Won't get the damage from it. 2 members of Wildcard on critical HP, having to heal right now, so it's on Rain and Ranger, and now Illusions as well, to try and make sure that everyone gets back to full HP. Suppressing down members of Tempo, but guaranteeing themselves a 4v3. It doesn't mean they've won the fight. You can easily turn this around if you're Tempo. Just put you on the back foot.
It's interesting, nades coming in, smoke grenades as well to block the lines aside of Tempo while they follow up with frag grenades to try to find the connections. Sensing a bit of a standstill, Wildcard being quick in their disengage, and this is what you like to see if you're one of the Wildcard fans. Don't waste your time here. Get that circle position if you find yourself at least at a stalemate with the other squad, and pulling off just like they will be down to the south, riding around that lake on the western side of Yasnaya. Next circle is up though, and it's going to be centered on that crossroads location just south of Severny, as all of these teams now are starting to rotate in off the east.
They're all going to get caught up at the checkpoint here. They're coming in from the south. Spacestation Gaming going to crash into each other momentarily as they're in hot pursuit of Are You Scared? You can see version 2 white on the screen. A lot of teams taking the same rotation route. And it may prove lethal if one team decides to drop out and potentially try and contest.
Sixless continues on in that UAS near the crossroads location that Ignite Gold has already taken up shelter inside of. He's going to be scouting this out and will likely be met with some shots. You can already hear them on your screen as he tries to avoid this entirely. But version 2 white is spotting out the members of Wildcard in their own rotation. Maluma with the M416 finding some nice connections, and this is Wildcard trying to slam into this compound to secure it for their own. Unfortunately, we're met with an already occupied building. Grandma Shack lights up, and will Mega 19, Bad Player, and the rest of the crew pick up their first kill of the game.
Rain being flushed out of the map altogether. 3 members of Wildcard remaining, 1 kill going over to version 2 white. Here's Lopez and Martin heading on the current path towards Are You Scared, who've been in this mass migration of convoys across the map, managing to cut in it, but now they're moving awfully close to Space Station Gaming over to their left. They may get the gunfire coming in. You can hear the shots being traded, but they're out of one position to another. This is such an occupied territory right now. Gunfire is coming from multiple compounds. It looks like the Ulysses is going to take a lot of fire on the side of Shoot to Win.
Carnage and team raining down gunfire. They're
Nice
going to be
shots.
finding the nice long-range
And
connections.
again.
The vehicle explosion comes in for Juicy, and that's going to be Shoot to Win, taking casualty after casualty. Thankful for them, they still do have members alive to keep their squad dreams at least moving on here in this game. Martin is going to be working with a pretty hard task to handle. He and Lopez now pulling into the bunkers just off to the east of the shooting range. And this is going to be an interesting position for them to hold on to. Probably the best position for any team that has lost members here in the early to mid game. But Wildcard pops off in the kill feed. BlindedByWin continues to take casualty after casualty as the blue zone is almost at the edges of phase number 3. 15 teams still alive. We've only seen 1 squad wiped out. That's HQA as we just passed that 15-minute mark of the game.
Next circle popping, let's get that on your screen. Moving back over towards Pittsburgh Knights, Wildcard, BlindedByWin, and Team Anarchy. It's over to the east of the circle, to the southeast of Severny. This is going to force some rotations from the likes of Revenants for Hokage, Spacestation, Ignite Gold, and Shoot to Win. Most of these other teams are pretty much safe in the area so far. The Lations Unidos are actually moving further north into the range, potentially, of Nova. They're venturing back down to the southwest now on a similar path. They're running parallel to each other, but not spotted out just yet.
This is a tough circle for these teams to work off of. Unfortunately, it's shifted over to the east, where a lot of wide open area is going to be present. But BlindedByWin, Parka, he lost already 2 members of his squad, but it's not going to stop him from being aggressive here. Puts out some damage, but it's going to be the members of version 2 White that end up colliding onto each other. But another collision as Cream Esports rolls into the already hurt Tempo Storm, losing Nico to Wildcard just a few minutes ago. But AreYouScared? They've collapsed on the same building where Wildcard lost one of their members. Version 2 White continues to hold strong and frag out on any offensive push.
I believe that was Jay from AreYouScared being flushed out of the competition as well. Tempo taking some casualties from Cream Esports. Spec playing further back. Try and stay in this one with Kraken as well. Laying down some suppressive fire to try and cover the retreat of Lost. The IGL for Tempo to get back in the game. Now I have to worry about behind him. You can just see there's another squad coming up. Cheddar and the rest of Cream playing aggressively. Grenade right coming in. There's the smoke grenade. There's a frag grenade from the enemy team. I think they're out of range to keep him alive. Lost had to be picked up then, otherwise he would have just died to the natural bleed out. Spec getting in there in the nick of time to keep the IGL running.
The 11th hour res is the all-important res that you love to see. And, well, it's going to be executed upon for Hokage.
Wait, they got a grenade?
Some casualties here in this situation. Yeah, Cream certainly pounded some nades in their direction. That's going to be lost going down. Spec retreating off of this, trying to get outside of nade range, but you can see Cream wrapping around this smoke concealment that has been laid on the battlefield. They want it. They know that they have the upper hand, but a few seconds can spell disaster. Cheto trying to wrap around, trying to get the advantage on top of Kraken, but the DP28 says otherwise, but he's going to be immediately traded out as Kira tries to pop into the smoke, tries to avoid the shots entirely.
One out, one in. It's perfectly. Karma comes in for the finisher. That's Tempo Storm being knocked out by Cream Esports NA, who are trying to continue that momentum from yesterday's momentous series of games.
And Tempo Storm trying to find that momentum. Well, it's not going to be found here in game number 3. And they only have one more game to try to do so coming up next. But 14 teams still remain here in this lobby. 43 players alive. Version 2 White continues to hold on to this compound, but AreYouScared has recovered at least slightly on the outside, holding on to that western fence line that separates them from their opponents, just about 10 meters. Certainly in grenade range, but how much utility do you want to waste at this juncture?
This could actually be very bad for Tempo Storm here, because if Version 2 White and 4 Hokage have great games this map, it will force them into the top 16 and force Tempo into the bottom 8. Into that relegation zone. If they're in there by the end of today's games, they won't be able to come back and won't be able to qualify for our regional finals. That had huge implications, them going out that early.
And there it is for Hokage. Continues to frag out. Hashirama with the Car 98 snipe. Coming in huge right there, and that's, again, something that Tempo Storm doesn't want to see. Certainly all eyes from the Tempo Storm squad. Their fans, their organization are looking and hoping for a prayer here in Game 3 because they can't do anything more. 14 teams, though, going to be battling it out for a small bit of real estate here as the Pittsburgh Knights get pushed up upon by the members of Revenants. Tanker taking a lot of damage here, just trying to get a little bit of reprieve from battle behind the rock to get the meds rolling.
He's got time. He's got the cover as well. You can see BlindedByWin and Cream Esports on his flank, but they're so far away, they're not going to be able to do anything about it. Now, he has got a bit of distance to travel. That next circle was popped over to the southwest, leaning more towards the south. Spacestation Gaming is in a pretty good position right now. They're already playing edge on an unoccupied side of it. But you've got that showdown between AreYouScared and Version 2 White in the middle that's going to get third party to hell. It's one of the only bits of real estate left in that circle, so expect some conflict to arise from that. But that's that northwest area, all those teams having to push in from the same direction, going to be lethal. But I like what Shoot to Win's doing. They're taking a safer approach, wrapping around the blue to come in from the east instead, where it's less occupied.
Yeah, you're going to want to be on the south side of things, and you certainly don't want to be in a smoking UAS like Karma is currently trying to make that transition in. But this is a hope and a prayer, and he's been able to at least make it to a safe area of the map. Not taking shots yet, but trying to lay down some concealment to further reinforce this territory that he has been able to claim. As other members of his squad are certainly taking damage, taking some casualties, as Revenants try to at least reposition from behind this rock. Tanker, he's got knocked. They don't have the time to pick up the res. Blue zone on their back, and they rotate on down towards the south, right past the members of Cream, who are trying to recover as well. They aren't able to reunite with Karma just yet, and that's a solo player over there that the members of Revenants are going to be collapsing on very shortly. But they've spotted out Ignite Gold off to the distance, going to be trying to spray out some damage.
Tanker will finally get flushed out to the play zone. There's smoke coming in to get the res onto Beowulf, so the rest of Nova can reposition away from Ignite Gold.
Look how open this play area here is, Trid.
It's going to be disastrous for teams. Vehicles and utility are going to be so important in these final phases to conceal and protect the teams. Now, a team, if I was them, I'm seeing that crate right there in the middle. I may want to collapse some vehicles and create some mobile cover around existing versions, as MicroTT will spray on this rotation. Going past Nova as well. They're just running straight into the danger zone right now. Up onto the rooftop, but they're going to use that vehicle for cover. The vehicle's exploded. Going to find the knock onto James. MicroTT will survive. He has to pop the smoke to try and bring him back in. Sam's not found that flush yet, but he's laying down a lot of hurt onto this Team Anarchy lineup.
Beowulf, he's going to be alive and well, and he's spraying down onto the members of Team Anarchy, trying to find those flushes. Sam going to be capitalizing on that. Anarchy losing member after member after member. That's going to be 3 going down to the likes of Nova Esports as the kill feed continues to light up. And there's 4 Hokage making another step here, trying to rack up those points. Again, something that the members of Tempo Storm, as you mentioned, Trid, they don't want to be seeing here, but this compound where AreYouScared has been holding on to with the members of version 2 White now has another entrant. It's going to be the Pittsburgh Knights slamming on to the northern side of this wall.
And Monarchs go for the spray down there on version 2 White. Tempo Stormer slipping them a 20 after this game, taking them out as well, keeping them below here. As they get the knocks, they get the flushes, and that's version 2 White being kicked out of the game. Pittsburgh Knights will take over the territory, but you got AreYouScared off to the side. Now, it's all about how high can 4 Hokage get and play spoiler against Tempo Storm.
Look at all those 4 vehicles just slammed into the fence line on the northern side.
It's a scrapyard right now. It's a scrapyard.
Exactly right. That's what it is. And I have to wonder, do the members of Pittsburgh Knights know that AreYouScared? 2 members are at least hiding there on the fence line to the west because they didn't lend a hand in that engagement whatsoever. But they will be inside of this next phase. It's going to be on the western side of at least where that compound is holding. Wildcard inside on the south, but a lot of movement has to come out. It's going to be Nova trying to move into the Lations Unidos territory, and they're trying to put out the pressure, able to get out some significant damage, and thankfully they've got 3 vehicles, 3 Dacias that are going to lend them at least a little bit of help in centering up.
Oh no, Espinosa's got a good line of sight here on Wildcard. We'll get the knock onto Ranger. Sam actually getting knocked down by Lations Unidos in that rotation. Need to try and go for the recovery there, but Mighty will go ahead and get the flush onto Espinosa. There's a lot of pressure being applied onto Revenants by AreYouScared. It's Carnage from Spacestation Gaming taking a few shots, but for Hokage getting involved in the action on that IGN fight. Sam so close to going down here. I believe they got him just in time to get the res, but another knock coming down from Parker to find Edwin, and he exposed himself to Beowulf with that VSS. Sam going out of the game right now, will get flushed out. They were unable to get the res in, but Beowulf will avenge his fallen comrade with the kill onto Parker. Collar onto Manny as well. It's putting BlindedByWin in a difficult spot.
I mean, listen, you can just look at these players' perspective and see how wide open this territory is. If you don't have any mobile cover and you've got to center up, well, you're not going to be able to. Beowulf and the rest of Nova, they've got essentially the only defilade, that little bit of a hillside that they're riding onto. But the members of Wildcard Swarm, they're going to be able to find out Spacestation Gaming. Out goes Angry, out goes Carnage. They're going to be going down left and right. For Hokage, going to be lending their hand as well as they try to make this rotation around that bend, riding the edge of the circle. Beowulf being spotted out for Hokage. Tsukasa trying to spray him down, but immediately going to be returned on and dropped himself.
For Hokage, they've got themselves into the top 6 right now. They're going to get some serious points from this, as well as their kill total that they have right now. I mean, they could walk away with a quite high scoring point this time, but Tsukasa going to be flushed out. Tobirama, yeah, that's probably why he's been killed now. So top 5 remaining. Crate's going to drop in the middle. AreYouScared probably now giving away their position to Pittsburgh Knights. They were getting involved in a couple of engagements. It's Ranger, that solo player up in the north, who's probably going to be able to sneak into this one. You got Nova over to the northeast, who needs to push into potentially the next circle when phase number 7 pops.
I love that AreYouScared are still holding on rather to that fence line. Huge grenade coming in for Beowulf on top of the members of Lations Unidos. And if I know Nova, they're going to try to capitalize on this. They know that they've got Lations Unidos on their back foot. And well, a few more nades will be raining down on top of them. The VSS prepped and ready to spray down on any of the members that try to push off of that northwestern, or rather southeastern direction, but the circle is closing in, and no teams have to at least continue on that movement. But Pittsburgh Knights, they're going to be spotting out AreYouScared. That's going to be Monarch with a nice knock.
Great, you need to keep throwing those grenades at Lations Unidos, keep the pressure on now. You're sending Beowulf with the VSS to keep an eye on that compound to make sure this doesn't get third-partied. Jagger, Monarch going to press forward, knowing that they've got 1 member down there, seeing they can get the flush off the back end of that kill. TJ Tattoo cannot win the gun duel. So that's going to be Pittsburgh Knights saving Monarch and keeping them in the game. There are no complete squads left in this area. It's a 3v3v3v1. Make that a 3v3v2 right now because Lations Unidos just lost another member.
Oh, but Trid, look at this circle. Look where it's popped and who it popped on. The solo player of Wildcard finds himself being the only person inside of this phase of the game, and will 3 teams up towards the north have to whittle each other down to try to make that safe entry because it's wide open territory. No one's going to be able to just slide through, and Ranger just has to look on and just try to throw some shots, throw some pressure out there, do whatever you can to stall these teams and force the engagement.
Ranger could also just be king of the ashes when this all burns to the ground right now. They're throwing some cover up there to try and cut off sightlines. They assume someone's going to be in the high ground already. They just don't know how many and who is up there. So they're going to throw down some cover. Ranger is so enclosed right now between 2 scrap vehicles and a property. Clonus will get a knock onto Cotto. And he's just going to spray down to Beowulf. He's exposed himself right now. 3 teams remaining. Lations Unidos going out in 4th. Jagger taking a few shots at Nova while they have been weakened. They keep the pressure on here. It's a 3v2v1 right now. The numbers advantage to Jagger. Mounting up here for Edwin to try and go up to Beowulf, provide cover, and also look for the res as well. Good thing that's a bit of an all-terrain vehicle. The fire's coming in, gonna start smoking, needs to get out. Might go out for an explosion here, but Edwin's been knocked down here by Monarch, who's taking the shots from a distance, leaving Beowulf as a solo player, unless he goes for the res.
So 2 teams from the north. It was going to be Nova as well as the members of Pittsburgh Knights, each using different strategies to bridge this gap and get inside of the safe zone. Pittsburgh Knights with a beautifully placed strategical smoke wall that allowed them to push up to this hillside where Ranger lies in wait. Nova, they had the vehicles to work off of, and well, it worked out a little bit better for the Knights in this regard. Edwin bleeding out, Beowulf the only member left alive, and he's got to pop out into the open, but it's going to be Pittsburgh Knights that find the solo player of Wildcard. Now 2 squads left. It's going to be essentially at this point in time a 1v3 situation as Edwin continues to bleed out, and Beowulf has now gotten into the prone position, lying in wait. The VSS and the M416 are going to be his tools.
He knows what he had to do. He's dropped the backpack there to reduce the likelihood of being spotted out. With the VSS spraying into nothing right now, he knows the general direction because he sees the bullet trails, but he's making a lot of noise right now. The circle's forcing him to reposition. The high ground was all there. That's Pittsburgh Knights taking away the first map win on Erangel, and with a sizable 11-kill count.
It's a good finish for them, but consistency continues to ring true from this squad
For
of
Nova
Esports. Wildcard coming in with the 3rd place finish as well, and that's going to be a 9-kill game for Wildcard, 8 kills for Nova. So again, huge performances coming out of our first game of Erangel, but we've got one more game on the books here for the day, and we're going right back to Erangel, back to back. Welcome back, everyone, to the PUBG Mobile Club Open Semifinals for the North American region. My name's Esquire, joined here by Trid. We just finished game number 3 of the evening. We've got one more game to go back on to Erangel, and it's going to be an exciting one. It was an exciting game number 3. If you missed it or any of the action so far here in the tournament for the entirety of both the group stages and the semifinals, head on over to clubopen.pubgmobile.com. You can see the standings, you can see some VODs, highlights of the week-to-week action, as well as check out the full game videos to see how the action has transpired over the last 4 weeks. But again, Trid, we got to talk about what just happened in game number 3. It was an interesting final few circles wide out into the open where teams really had to display their strategy.
And Pittsburgh Knights just coming in with the raw numbers advantage in that final circle. Let's take a look at some highlights from that map to just recap the rest of it for you as well. But of course, Pittsburgh Knights coming out with the victory at the end here. This is just a really unfortunate rotation coming in from shoot to win as they were just taken out by Spacestation Gaming. And that final compound that you can see, version 2 white and AreYouScared in, was actually pivotal to the success of these teams. It was something that Pittsburgh Knights were able to crash into and retake quite early on into the final phases, and they were able to bunker down in there to see out to the victory.
And had Pittsburgh Knights, or maybe used a little bit more of those smokes, they would have been able to disengage off of that building. And well, they would have met the same fate like Team Anarchy up here on that wide open hillside. But this was one of the more pivotal moments of it. Like you said, they were able to wrap around. It was Monarch getting the first knock onto AreYouScared, and they quickly wrapped around and secured the compound for their own. But then you could see that smoke wall leading out for the Pittsburgh Knights. Nova on the opposite end, clearing out their own flank.
It's Beowulf with the VSS. He was 1v3. There's not much more you can expect him to do here, especially when such wide angle to be taken. He's got the blue at his back, ultimately giving out the victory to Pittsburgh Knights. But I tell you what we need to look at, Esquire. We need to look at the standings because we're about to jump into our final map for all the teams in Group A. And if you're in this bottom section now, it's not looking good. So I'm looking towards 4 Hokage right now. They're about to play their final map of the semifinals, and unless they get themselves way into that top 16, they're not going to be safe for tomorrow. Let's have a look at teams that are safe for now, but certainly not out of the wins yet. 16th place, version 2 white. If they're in that 16th place position, they're just going to be leaped by teams who still have to play tomorrow. Tempo Storm and Team Anarchy also aren't safe at this point as well.
No, they certainly are not. They're going to have a big game, at least in this final game, to feel safe going into the final day of gameplay that they're not going to be able to have any hand in whatsoever. Let's take a look, though, at the top 8 positions of the semifinals so far and continue to see the massive strides being made by the members of Wildcard, Nova, and Spacestation Gaming. Your top 3 teams currently on the leaderboards, but make no mistake, Misfits, AreYouScared, and Pittsburgh Knights, well, they're going to be trying to at least catch up a little bit. Pittsburgh Knights and Misfits have more games to play. AreYouScared, only one more game to play before their semifinal fate is sealed.
And with that in mind, let's have a look at a head-to-head for this final map. It's going to be version 2 white and 4 Hokage, 2 teams that are closest to being removed just from today's games. Now, version 2 white in the 16th position, they can't go down. The only person who can dethrone them right now is 4 Hokage. But they want to be getting into that position anyway. We need to see how well the version 2 white are being able to track and whether they can fend off 4 Hokage to keep that 16th place position to increase their chances of survival in these semifinals.
Yeah, so things that you want to see out of these teams, you want to see them drop in uncontested areas. You don't want to see them going out early or losing even one member of that squad. These are teams that have to keep all 4 alive, but with that, Trid, it's all left up to what these teams can do here as we pop into our 4th and final game of the evening. Erangel coming in hot. That plane is already in the air.
Coming across, mainly leaning over to the eastern side, but it's coming in from the north central position over to the northeast, and it's going to be crossing over for Nova, so we expect Nova to do that. This is definitely more central than what we saw on our first Erangel of the night film.
Yeah, a little bit better of a plane path, not focused over towards the western side, where we saw a lot of teams kind of have to stretch, and not just stretch, some even having to find vehicles to find those prime loot locations. But again, this is going to open up these teams to at least more easily find themselves landing. And you would expect South Georgia Bowl to be a little less congested than it was in game number 3. 4 teams there. That's the most that we've seen any teams in one area on any map so far throughout the tournament. So definitely a wild place, and well, you saw the members of 4 Hokage. They were certainly there, but they're going to be going to a different direction this time around.
Trying to see, Revenants are actually going over to that South Georgia Pole area again, so they're not going to contest Spacestation Gaming in Yasnaya, which is where we kind of expected them to do so, because they've dropped in that location several times. Ignite Gold hitting the ground very early in Severny, but then we're looking towards Pachinki. Tempo, as expected, are heading over there. BlindedByWin are going to pass over the top as well. Trying to see where the likes of Cream are. They're going over to Milta as our wild card. So Milta and Milta Power could be a hotbed of action depending on whether they commit to the drops. And the circle, basically in the exact same spot it was last time.
Yeah, I mean, almost identical. If we had a side-by-side, I'm pretty sure that they would be lining up. So the teams at least are going to have an idea of how these rotations will take place if the circles continue to shrink according to how we saw them in game number 3. But the likelihood of that happening is a little bit small, but it certainly starts out that way. As we look down here, Novo going to be bringing in another squad. Nova having the first contestant of this area of the tournament. It's going to be version 2 White, a team that we just highlighted that needs to have a huge game here. Dropping amongst conflict is not where you want to be, especially when you're going against one of the top teams in the tournament, and they're already taking casualty after casualty. 2 players knocked, 1 going to be flushed out, leaving them with just 3 alive, 2 on their feet.
Version 2 White deserve everything they're getting right now, and they deserve to get themselves knocked out of this competition. How many times have we seen Nova drop onto Novo, and even when teams have contested them, not be budged from it? In a game where you need to get placement points, you think your best idea is to drop down on Novo, of all places? Yeah, fantastic idea, guys.
It's sort of like they conceded the tournament right here, and when there's $2.5 million on the line, well, that's a very costly concession to have to make. Bad player now going to be the only player of this squad left alive, and hopefully his name does not imply what his skill certainly has in store. He spots out Edwin, able to get a nice knock, but he has 3 other members of this squad to deal with, and they now know where he is. Trying to use these crates to his advantage, but it won't be enough. Sam comes in with the AKM and totally wipes out version 2 White and kills their hopes and dreams of trying to make it into the regional finals.
Not necessarily entirely removing them, just makes everything completely...
You think they're going to stay in 16th place, Trip?
No, I don't realistically know, but I'm saying by all means, we could watch a lot of teams tomorrow just suddenly just drop their spaghetti all over the floor or something and just not be able to compete tomorrow. They are for now going to be safe unless Hokage has a really good game and knocks them out of the 16th. As soon as they remove from 16th place or below, that does seal it indefinitely. There's nothing that can happen that will change that fact for them. Whereas at least now if they maintain 16th, there is still some semblance of hope.
Other teams, though, will be able to compete tomorrow to bridge that gap and push them down. So again, keep your eyes on that. The standings will become ever so important, especially as we enter into the 4 games, the final 4 games to be played out tomorrow. Certainly Rafa, the rest of the shoot-to-win squad pulling into the warehouse there just northeast of where Pachinki lies. But Wildcard, another team that's had a very consistent day today, only picking up 1 win, but picking up a lot of top finishes. Ranger, to be exact, the solo player champion of the previous game, pulling up a 3rd place finish for his squad.
Ranger now getting a vehicle for the rest of Wildcard to move around in. HQA having a slightly more quiet South Georgia poll this time around. You got Revenants over to the north and going to be having a lot of teams just coming in that rotation path. Just looking over to Zaki, actually. You got Pittsburgh Knights doing a split right now. Actually, Wi-Fi's by himself in that new circle over by shooting range. Now, if he pushes further to the northeast, he'll run into Ignite Gold, who are occupying Severny. So as a solo player, he needs to be playing very conservatively for the time being, because you won't be able to contend against a full squad, no matter how good you are.
Wi-Fi popping into those 2 bunkers that border the outskirts of the shooting range area. He's going to be a little bit separated off from the rest of his team, entering into phase number 1 as a solo player with his other 3 teammates over near the Zarki area. Needs to be careful the closer and closer he gets to Severny, because we did see at the onset of this game, immediately jumping out of the plane was Ignite Gold, who have been looting up in Severny for the time being. But Zarki, at least will be their home, that far northwestern corner of the map. And with this circle, they're going to have to make a bit of a rotation to get over towards the east.
There's Ranger with a very early knock onto Lopez, shoot to win. Now going to get flushed out as well. Easy pickup here for Wildcard, and the rest of the shoot to win are just mounting back in their vehicle, and they're going off. There's a rotation coming out by BlindedByWin. They're going to be setting up shop in this southeast, I believe southeast apartment area. No? Trying to get freedom where they are. No, actually they're down by Primorsk by the ferry pier, actually.
Yeah, so looking good, at least BlindedByWin. We've seen them pretty much be eliminated or taking extreme casualties early on throughout the entirety of today's games. Well, they're looking to turn things around here in the final game of the evening. Manny going to be looting up with his partner just over towards the southwest in the same type of compound, but again, just kind of biding their time right now. No one wants to be going out in these early game positions. After 16th dropped out, well, we just saw them, version 2 White, racking up 0 points to their name for that one. Well, you will be picking up 1 point if you go out in 15th, but that's not enough especially for the team we're currently looking at. Popping over, though, to the prison. This is where Wildcard has rotated off of. They dropped down in the mill to power area, but have quickly rotated up towards a more favorable circle position where they can also pick up some loot safely inside of this area.
Rain still lingering around to the southeast by mill to power as well, so Cream Esports may have some company, but I expect Rain to go for the regroup and merge back together with the rest of the Wildcard squad. Get themselves into a safer position. HQA still fanning out in that South George area. A lot of teams starting to move away and start heading towards that circle as it is starting to encroach over the territory. Nova just finishing up on their loot. They're going to get in vehicles and mount up, take the east bridge. Are you scared? Safely, knowing where Nova is. We'll take the west. And here's Spacestation Gaming over in Yasnaya, who will not have to make any movement whatsoever because they are fairly central in this next phase.
You know, Trid, I can't wait for the day where we incorporate team comms into the PUBG Mobile broadcast. It's certainly around the corner. Because we've seen great strides made in both the spectating client as well as the tournaments that PUBG Mobile is putting on. But I want to tap in to what Nova was thinking there when they saw version 2 White in the kill feed, or any team nonetheless drop on top of them. I mean, what goes on in your head? Because certainly they were thinking the same thing. They were like, wait, seriously, is someone dropping on our location?
I'll tell you what I'll be thinking. I think thanks for the 4 points.
Yeah, exactly, exactly right. We're trying to chase down Spacestation Gaming in that first place position. Looking, though, at for Hokage. This is a team that we highlighted right before this game.
Need to have a good round today, otherwise they're out.
They need to, and with version 2 White going out, well, things start to open up a little bit, and all eyes will be on them and what kind of performance
if your
they can pull
benchmark
off.
for success is 16th place, then you may as well just quit now.
Yes.
Hokage need to be looking into the 9th place territory. They need to have a monstrous game here, and that starts off by having a second or at least top 3 finish to rack up at least those 20 points roughly on the board. Assuming you get a few kills with that as well, you may push yourself into an area of safety that can put yourself at an insurmountable position for some of the lower placed teams tomorrow.
They need to cream esports the hell out of this game,
Yes.
essentially. is essentially what they want to do. We know that it's possible. We saw Cream Esports do it yesterday with just one game, even though they did win multiple. But this is going to be for Hokage pulling off of this entirely. They felt a little bit of pressure coming out of the apartments, and oh, they're going to be taking casualties. Micro TT with the scar finds a nice spray down from a distance, and Hashirama's days are numbered here because I don't think any of the members of for Hokage are going to risk coming back to try to save one of their teammates.
While it is a salvageable position right now, there's good cover provided for Hashirama. They do have a vehicle to sweep in there and get in the cover as well. That rock provides a lot of cover in there. It's finding it very difficult to get in. You just saw another member of the team go away. As Tobirama is moving down the hill to try and go for the res. Micro TT keeping an eye out on what's going on. And Tobirama going as far back as he can to increase the likelihood. There's a lot of obscured vision. They might not get a read on him. That res is going to be able to come in now that he's in a perfect line that's directly behind that cover. The res will come out. And as long as they got the resources, they should be able to get out of this one.
Tobirama is a champion, at least that's what Hashirama is saying. But then again, they have to worry about the retreat. They are taking a lot more damage. Tsukasa has been spotted out on the hillside. And exactly right. I mean, with how easily that team Anarchy landed the shots, Micro TT essentially a god with the scar. You got to be fearful right now, and for Hokage needs to be worried about the transition that they're not making right now. Phase number 2 is popped. They're going to have to rotate to get more favorable spots, and Tobirama is going to be knocked down. He tried to be the savior and now needs some saving of his own.
So they allowed a vehicle to be destroyed there by Team Anarchy's position as well, and they're exposing themselves. Yeah, I can understand the thought process of getting out and trying to provide some suppressive fire to cover your team on the retreat. They weren't ready to retreat yet. Why are you showing yourself and drawing fire over to yourself while that's happening? You then lose any pressure you may have had, and your team is now just sitting duck. That was a terrible sequence of events there for Hokage that they need to tighten up if they're looking to get into a higher position. They've just dropped 2 members because of that.
Speaking of tightening up, the center of this phase number 2 is getting extremely tight. Teams are bombing in to get those centralized locations immediately as Tobirama continues to bleed out. And again, this is for Hokage trying to realize, do we try to get the res onto another fallen comrade, or do we just try to disengage entirely? Well, this might be the opportunity to maybe go for the res here, as Team Anarchy's attention has been diverted off to the east to the members of AreYouScared pulling up into the yellows. Another team shoot to win, going to be entering the fray here off of the northeastern corner of this compound. And well, a lot of enemy presence is starting to come in close, and it could be the saving grace for Hokage.
Not looking too good for Cream right now, just taking a lot of casualties from AreYouScared and Nova as well, as they've gone for a split and find themselves being caught up in the chaos. Micro TT still applying pressure to Hashirama, who's moved himself further up the mountain, taking a lot of damage, but will not be done to his knees just yet. Should be able to get the res off onto Tobirama, but what next? Are you going to get out of here successfully? Micro TT has such a good position here to oppress you.
No, he's being the absolute power player from this apartment's area. Tempo Storm is now rolled up into the J compound as well. And they've got good lines of sight on both of these teams. Team Anarchy is certainly not safe with Nico and the rest of the Tempo Storm squad looking their direction, but it's going to be AreYouScared that they are fighting against. Jay coming up with a huge Car 98 knock on to the members of Tempo Storm, but thankful for Tempo, they've got the building to work off of and a little bit of space that will prevent any type of push coming out from AreYouScared.
Yeah, there's going to be no flush coming out on that one. Like I said, the buildings will provide the adequate cover required. Jay driving around just to get into a better position to jump through the window, but also have an escape route should they have to rotate fast with the next phase. They are playing relatively central for now, so that shouldn't be too much of a concern. Cyclus is going to get a knock onto Zeus, so that wildcard Space Station Gaming fight continuing over just to the west of Yasnaya. Zeus is on his knees. Illusions is in a position to try and get him back up. Ranger is driving a vehicle back around, potentially to provide cover. There's the smoke, and so the rest will come out while they're low enough to dodge the fire, using the passive terrain to keep out of the way of Space Station Gaming.
Space Station is holding on to the gas station, where we have seen Wildcard themselves be wiped out inside of. But the key to playing that gas station is not letting anyone infiltrate that building, keeping the buffer zone strong by getting these knocks and asserting this pressure. Crate drops in between these two squads. No one going to be at least able to push up safely at this current time to pick it up, but it will be an MK14 in a level 3 kit that someone is going to be picking up should they risk it for the biscuit. Wildcard continues, though, to be under fire. Another squad just to the south of their position. Pittsburgh Knights have rolled in, and they're going to have a good opportunity to apply some pressure from this location.
Wi-Fi going to mount up with Monarch as the boys. They jump into that vehicle. The next circle's pop moving closer towards Rozhok. A lot of teams are going to be relatively unaffected by that. But a team that's on there limping into this map so far, for Hokage, you see Sunade over to the east. He's going to have to be going into a highly contested area. We've also got Tobarama and Hashirama off to the south. So there's 3 members of 4 Hokage alive in this matchup, which does bode well for their chances. It's a lot better than the 2-person outlook we were looking at earlier. They just need to find a way to lie low while the pressure dies down a little bit on this southern area of the circle, then find a way to regroup and push towards the final moments.
Yeah, pressure's not going to be dying down, though, because as you saw in that circle, it's that deadly 50-50 circle split in half by the river leading out of Yasnaya, and teams are going to have to at least hedge their bets. Will it go north? Will it go south? And then have to face the consequences should they face off against an opposite shift. Nova going to be pushing in. Lations Unidos certainly in their sights off of the southeastern corner of phase number 3. But the blue zone will be moving in just a few seconds' time, and teams have to at least worry about these repositions and where they lie, whether it be the north or the south, and if they land on the opposite sides, if they have those easy rotation paths, keeping those choke points, those bridges clear.
Wildcard taking 2 flushes right now in an engagement from multiple angles, so not looking good for them right now. Zeus and Ranger, the last 2 alive. Shoot to win on the rooftop, looking to take this fight against Ignite Gold. Footsteps are being heard around. Martin's going to push in. He has got a member of Ignite Gold with him in this building. Martin as well is going to press out. There's the spray down with the micro Uzi. He's going to go down to the AK from Marvis. Sending in some reinforcements to deal with this one. Marvis with the spray down again. Rafa, how do you lose that engagement right now? Ulysses and the rest to shoot to win. Going to get the cleanup here. They get 2 knocks down. And here comes Wasson in for the reinforcements, just to make sure they can get back under control. Keepers down, moving around to the side, just need to find a way to get him. Ulysses is down in the prone, and there's the wipe coming in, and the flush. Keep will get Wasson back in this game and keeping that goal alive.
Ulysses tried to drop shot him. You don't see a lot of drop shots in PUBG. It's hard to pull it off, but he was almost there. Lations Unidos is going to be facing off, though, against Nova. Nova's got the counter position on this compound, a hill which is extremely dangerous if you're not aware of your surroundings and what could be coming from the opposite directions. But given their position inside of the circle, it's looking pretty good. For Hokage, though, going to be taking casualties. It's none other than Wildcard holding on to this bridge choke point. Zeus on the north side, Ranger on the south side, and I respect this position that Wildcard is taking up.
Couple of trolls right now.
Got to pay the troll toll.
Yep, and you're going to be Zeus and Ranger holding underneath that position, and hopefully no one's going to have to pay that toll and avoid as many holes as you can, as TJ Tattoo will be looking outside of that compound just to keep the pressure on the outside as the circle will pop into phase 4.
Where's it going, Trid? North or south? Quick. Quick.
South.
All right, it's going to continue to be 50-50. This is not what any team wanted. They wanted some type of certainty as to where they have to go.
We flipped a coin and it landed on its side.
Exactly. We lost the coin in the sewage ditch.
Yeah.
It's gone. Revenants will continue to hold on likely to this northern side. I don't think they're going to shift down to the south whatsoever, even though Razak tends to at least be the more occupied area inside of this landmass of phase number 3. But teams are already repositioning Nova off that far southeastern corner, now going to be bombing into this eastern side of Razak, where many other teams have already taken the exact same page out of their playbook. It's going to be Tempo Storm rolling in. They've got the northern priority building the strongest position. It's going to be Nova conceding into the southern position, but Wi-Fi from Pittsburgh Knights is under fire. Tempo Storm continues to frag out, looking for any enemy threat that could be approaching.
They have 0 kills right now, and this is the team that needs to get a high place finish in this match, because they're one of those teams that are close to 16th place. They are technically safe right now, but they have not got much of a buffer between them and the teams that are looking to climb tomorrow. They're going to push themselves further to the water and play around the cover so they have the escape of trying to swim if they need to. Pittsburgh Knights locking down the compound over to their west. As Wi-Fi going to lay down fire against Tempo. They're not in a good spot right now, and Wi-Fi can look to end their dreams very quickly.
I mean, I think we need to at least acknowledge the fact that Tempo Storm is having a few rough games. They're a team that has traditionally played so strong, so we know that they're capable. They're just not finding the right opportunities that line up with how they played these games throughout the early stages. But Nova going to be trying to at least recover off of this. The res to be stuck by Edwin on his fallen teammate, the IGL of the squad, Beowulf, will be back on his feet shortly, as many another squad have rolled in here to Razak. The rent is getting higher and higher as more teams come in, and the cost of any team trying to scout or bomb through is becoming exponentially higher.
That's what
Pittsburgh Knights,
Seven's doing right now. Look, he's driving through the middle. He's going to draw a lot of fire. No one's actually in position to contest him right now, so he will regroup because Cotto wasn't on the roof. He wasn't able to contest, but Monarch will get knocked down by Manny, who are looking to take that engagement. BlindedByWin looking to take that skirmish so far. Seven finally punished for his actions as he's dropped to his knees by Woods.
These rooftops are so deadly in the third-person perspective gameplay because you're seeing just now what they could do. Tempo Storm could stay in the prone positions and have the highest point of contact, at least on the southern side of this river, spotting out Spacestation Gaming to the north, trying to inflict as much pressure, as much damage as possible, then resetting and being ultra aware of their surroundings. 14 teams that remain as we approach that 20-minute mark of the game, and it's not going to stop here, Trid. We've seen a few other teams hedge their bets towards the north. Ignite Gold, Spacestation Gaming, Revenants, and now Lations Unidos.
It's all right for now as they center around the Rozhok area. Got a couple of teams still on the outside. Cream Munoz separated from his team, but that's Peralta getting some damage down onto an enemy. Kraken hasn't got the meds to heal up right now, so he's sitting on 50% HP as Nico applying more pressure to Six that's climbing up that hill. Shots being fired back. We'll start tagging away at Nico, but nothing too threatening right now as Six has been put down to sub 20% HP. Sam will get a knock onto Arcs. Vigilante being the one to drop Sixes to his knees. Spec getting on in the action as well. The crossfire from Tempo, dealing so much hurt over to Space Station Gaming. They're taking fatal casualties now as Sixes has been flushed out of the game.
It's just going to be Juicy on his feet. He's trying to retreat back to Angry, trying to save him, but they're not going to be able to do it as Spec with the Scar finds the flush. And Tempo Storm continues at least to hold their position, hold their placement, but with 14 teams still alive, they can't go out just yet. Ignite Gold trying to push in from this northern side, trying to get a better position inside of the circle. And albeit the next phase shifted up towards the north, that's where we're going to be going, and it's going to be a mass exodus coming out of Razak, and while teams are not going to be able to make it, it is about to get cut in half, starting with 14 teams. Keep that number in mind because it's quickly about to drop.
So Nova, as expected, make the early rotation. They get in vehicles, try to go, but Wasson's going to end any rotation hopes from Revo. As Ignite Gold are going to clear Lations Unidos out of that engagement. Wildcard still holding down to that bridge. They've not pinched their trap just yet. But here's Jay actually fighting and turning it around against Ranger and Munoz, who was a solo player in the area as well. So they're going to be able to turn this around onto Wildcard Gaming, potentially knocking them out of the fight. Wood's taking some fire. He's returning it on Kind over to the Nova squad as Hashirama just going to be flushed out of the game right now as well. So for Hokage, still have two members in this fight. Two members in this map to try and make it work. There's that Nova convoy, that Nova vehicle pushing into the newly formed area, or at least trying to, but they're emptying a lot of fire right now. They're getting sprayed down by Wildcard. Not Wildcard, sorry. It's going to be Pittsburgh Knights, and Sam's going to be on his knees. Edwin's all over. Everyone's getting flushed out. Disastrous for Nova.
And that's what you expect here. Essentially, teams are just trying to rotate as fast as possible to get inside a part of the play area. AreYouScared trying to capitalize on this, trying to apply the pressure before they make that dip into the channel as well to cross to the north. But any team that crosses to the north, sure, you might make it across the river, but how do you get up that open hill face? in light of this circle and how much pressure that will be on your backside. BlindedByWin now going under the same bridge that Wildcard was holding before they exited out of the game, and well, they're going to be trying to take their own tolls from any team that tries to cross as well. Again, they're recognizing the fact they can't make it over towards the northern side of things without getting wiped.
Nico will go down to that play zone as they try and keep tempo in this game. Kraken and Lost are going to be there, but Pittsburgh Knights, they're moving over for the now. They've not crossed the river just yet. Arc's applying pressure over to AreYouScared, who are already on that next phase of the island. Manny with the spray down. Not going to find it, has to take cover and go for the reload, but Mighty will get knocked by Wi-Fi in the distance. Arcs also going to feel the hurt from Jay. Cal getting knocked down by the play zone. And Seven's found himself a vehicle, but it's not going to be lasting for long. A lot of pressure being applied to it. The explosion will come in as well. Close enough to feel the hurt from the explosion. 2 members going down for Pittsburgh. Monarch needs to get in the prone and look for the reses on his team.
But the grenades will be
here we
prepped
go.
and ready. Parka trying to land them right up on top of this car where the members of Pittsburgh Knights are trying to recover. It lands right behind them. Will it be exploding? And no, it's going to be a smoke grenade, giving them that nice concealment to work off of.
Oh, no,
no. No, it's
smoke grenade.
It's
a dud.
Yeah, it's a dud. It's a dud. Rolling back. That's going to be Wi-Fi trying to at least get out some sort of support to his teammates as AreYouScared tries to escape the blue zone. A significant amount of damage being put out by the blue zone pressure. And Jay, if he looks underwater, he's going to be seeing BlindedByWin swimming across. He was trying to take the shots, but didn't find them with so much damage being applied by that zone. But another shift has come into play. It's still going to be the northern side of this favored, but the river is implicated once again, and teams are going to really feel the hurt from any of the squads to the north. Look in their direction.
Knights, what are you doing, lads? You're moving into a firing squad from multiple angles. Everyone wants a piece of the Pittsburgh Knights. They're going for the flushes, going for the points. Only 1 member left standing. I believe it's Jagger going for the reses now, but the longer they stay here, the more likely they are to run into the panic of having the blue chasing them into the zone.
Parker's loving it, though. There's no better feeling than looking up and seeing 4 members not looking at you, completely exposed and open to that spray down as you start to see tempo reposition off of that southern flank. They were once safe on the northern side of Razak, but now they don't have much room to work with at all. And everyone that was left in that Razak area, well, they're clustered on the southern coast of this river. It's going to be an all-out engagement by virtue of this circle. Juicy from Spacestation Gaming has at least been allowed to stay alive, but it's Pittsburgh Knights continuing to take casualty after casualty. There's no res in sight for Jagger as Wi-Fi and 7 hop into the river and start that swim over towards the north.
The blue zone's forcing so much right now. We'll die over to the play zone. I don't know if 7 and Wi-Fi can make it if they don't keep up with the pace. You can see they're just traveling to the west. Wi-Fi smartly gets on the back to try and heal, but it's just punished straight away. Going to seal his fate. 7 is swimming as fast as he can. Might be able to get away from the blue zone in time, but when he lands, he's going to have difficulty. And there's Tanker taking out a member of Spacestation Gaming. Juicy going to be dropped down to an early grave. And here's Woods securing the flush onto Wi-Fi and moving closer into the area.
Revenants are being wrapped around that northwestern side of the circle by the members of HQA right now. Revenants have had a dominant hold on this. They haven't had to take too many engagements because they have favored that northern side of the circle since about phase number 3. But that's quickly about to change.
Killer's in that vehicle and Kira's cowering behind it right now to try and stay in this game.
Saying, hey, can I get some cover? Can you
give me the cover from that vehicle? Speaking of cover, Woods has managed to find some himself. Parker going in for the res. Still not quite in that circle. 7 applies some pressure, dipping out of the water quickly. He's back in there again. Oof. Nice spray down from Parker, easily found. So maybe you shouldn't have been barking if you were willing to bite as hard as that.
Exactly right. 6 teams remaining, 11 players alive as we at least approach that 25-minute mark of the final game of the evening. The final game with so many different implications for these squads. Revenants trying to recover off of this. Peralta going to be knocked down.
That's quite good, actually. Yifei got knocked by Peralta, but before he got knocked, he threw the grenade that ended up taking Peralta to his knees as well. So he had an insurance card, and an insurance policy in play. Both reses are going to come in. His teams would have to disengage off of that to go for the salvation. We're in the top 5 right now. Unfortunately, 4 Hokage didn't get there. They really needed it. A team that could capitalize on this top 5 position, however, is a team like HQA and push up the rankings. BlindedByWin, I think, is in the danger zone as well. It's going to be big games for them if they can come up with a lot of kills and get a higher placement.
With this circle, HQA's game to essentially lose right here, or rather win, let's put it that way. They have to hold off the members of Revenants who have to jump down this hillside to get to safety, but they also have to be diligent in watching that eastern flank where the 2 members of BlindedByWin have been positioning themselves, and they've got beautiful lines of sight. Parka and Woods could be inflicting massive damage here, and yeah, sure enough, Quang going to be taking a lot of that, tipping down into the prone position to block the lines of sight entirely. A quick reset for the members of BlindedByWin to get the meds rolling before this push from the east.
Killer is still in that vehicle in the water. I'm not sure what he's going to be able to do. The circle technically still allows him to do that and stay in there, even when it moves next. So he could be playing for placement now. Michael feeling the hurt from Peralta. They forgot about this high ground position. The Revenants hold. They spray down. Tanker taking a lot of damage, but he backs off, and now they're looking to find Zephyr as he sprays again. There's the knock. Blue Zone should finish him off easily. He's not going to get out of this one alive. Now we're relying on Peralta. There's the spray down by Zephyr, who will secure the kill. Make sure that Revenants are removed from this game, leaving only 4 squads remaining, 2 of which are solo players in that water. So once HQA deals with BlindedByWin, they're trying to do now, they should be able to walk away with this one as Woods now gets knocked. You just need to take out one more, and you've got this in the bag. That's going to be them moving out. So now a 4-man squad of HQA only has to deal with 2 solo players who are hiding out in the water. There's no way they lose this.
No, there's absolutely no way. Michael going to be bleeding out. He's inside of the smoke concealment. None of those players in the water can actually fire their guns right now.
I'm pretty sure that like Killer is still strapped into the seat.
Yeah, he is. He is. You see him in there, and Kira's talking to him in all chat right now, just saying, "Hey, thanks for the good idea. This is working out beautifully for us." Michael going to be bleeding out. The res will be stuck by Kwang. And again, HQA just has to capitalize on this. Once they spot out that there sure enough are members still in the river, well, it's only a matter of time before they take them out of the game. But it's kind of a question of how quickly will they be able to find them? Will they be able to find them in time before someone is able to make landfall and possibly get a quick knock onto one of the 4 members of HQA who have already racked up 8 kills to their name so far in this game? Trid, I don't see this going any other way than HQA's.
I think they've scoured the ground enough to know that the people remaining are still in the water. They have to assume it's a duo and not 2 solo players at this point. So now Michael's going to go in for an investigation. Have a look around. They spotted them out now. The jig is up. Killer and Kira trying to make landfall, but there's 4 guns trained in their direction. Doesn't matter how good you are at serpentining, you're not going to be able to dodge the fire for too long. It's all about seeing who can last first. Basically, it's competition, not between HQA, but between Kira. Oh, he's gone down already. Competition over. That's going to be Killer finding second place. Definitely won't find first. It's all about stalling for time now. And it's going to be the spray coming in. It's all she wrote. That's going to be HQA walking away with map number 4's victory.
Yeah, that's a good win right there. And that is a great way to fish out some mermaids or mermen hiding in the river. Throw in those grenades. It's the best way to fish out in the country, Trid. Let me take you out for a weekend one time.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you throw firecrackers in the water, kill all the fish.
That's just for you fishing
Come on,
with
you
grenades
need to
right
spend
now.
more time in America, North America here, but a great win coming out from HQA. Team Anarchy in 2nd place, and then Cream Esports showing another bit of consistency here in the final game of the day in 3rd position. Trid, you got monkey paws, I got, country fishing.
Country fishing.
Sounds fun, right? Throwing
throwing
nades into the river and...
You spoke about consistency in Cream Esports. I just had a look at their kill count. 0 kills.
Hey, it doesn't matter how you get there.
That is the Cream special right there. They're just going to go ahead and get into the top 3, top 2, whatever, with barely any kills.
They've got their eyes set on something else, Trid, and it's regional finals.
Absolutely, and this is the way they're going to do it. Placement points are going to value a lot more than that of kill points. So it doesn't surprise me that we've seen a team able to get such a consistently high performance and high finish based off of this more passive style playing for the placement.
Absolutely, a great game to be played out. Some of our teams, they've finished their run here. They're not going to be able to put any more points up on the leaderboards. But before we go, let's take a look at the standings and see how those have shaped up. These are going to be updated, and you can see version 2 white, they are out of here. They are not going to be able to advance for Hokage. They're out of here as well, Trid.
For Hokage, version 2 white being taken over by those teams who were in Group C, actually, who were still able to climb and force them down. So
version 2 white could have been safe. They could have been safe, at least going into
tomorrow.
Trid.
Do you know what I want to see?
Oh, 16th place.
16th place.
Yeah.
See how much they knocked him out by. 136. 1 point! That 1 point! It would have kept them safe, but I guarantee you, if 1 point was the only difference below them, it would have been captured tomorrow anyway.
Pepe hands in the chat. Holy
it's
cow.
unfortunate for them, but like I said, that point difference could have been capitalized on tomorrow. Now let's look at teams that are genuinely in the danger zone for tomorrow. Method is one of them. They will have another game day, but they're in 15th place right now. They need to be in the top 8 that guarantees safety. HQA's first place performance has done just that for them, but look at the spread in the first place, and let's have a look at them side by side. If we were to end right now the semifinals, this is your 16 teams going through. We got one more game day coming up tomorrow, though. Spacestation Gaming on a comfortable 369 points. I don't see any way that our top 5, maybe even our top 8 right now, actually fall out of favor.
Yeah, they're going to be feeling pretty good. I think the biggest contention, at least in these top 8 positions, are going to be Misfits trying to make up for the point differential between them and Spacestation Gaming. That's 130 points they're going to have to put up tomorrow. It's certainly a tall task, but we have seen Misfits put up about 140 points or so, maybe even a little bit more
their debut.
In one day. Yeah, exactly. On their debut, nonetheless. But a huge day being played out. We've got one more day of semifinal gameplay here for the PUBG Mobile Club Open. It all kicks off tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure to be there. We're going to be, at least here, myself, Esquire, and Trid, bringing you all the action. Have a good night, everyone.